Gather around, freaks. Follow the sound of the drums as we start playing a dangerous game. That game? Talking about a forbidden game with intrigue and adventure. So gather around the internet campfire and gather around the internet radio because it's time once again for Hey, did you see this one?
Once upon a time, movie magic was dwindling, and things were changing. And this month, Stephen Waters and Hey, did you see this one? Would like to take you back there. Take you on a trip down memory lane to revisit some of their favorite movies from the late 1900s. From cult classics to box office hits, they'll explore the mysticism of this iconic era of film history. Tune in to relive the magic of the previous century in the nostalgic 90s.
Just got hot. Shut the up and call me when she shows. Why the hell you want to be a cop in? Oh, forget her ass. Got milk?
Yeah, I got some milk. Shit, you want some milk? I got a whole bunch of milk.
Hey, everybody, have you heard the news? It's Butcher Pete, and he's coming to your town. Hello, and welcome to Hey, did you see this one?
Butcher Pete's coming? No one told me about that.
Yeah, he's coming. It is, of course, the weekly review, reaction, roundtable discussion podcast where we just have to ask the question, hey, did you see this one? On this show, we take a film and completely pull it apart, leaving no stone unturned. We are your co-hosts. My name is Jason Jumanji R. Phillips. I'm joined, as always, by Stephen Van Pelt. And our guest this week is the one, the only, the father of the United Federation of Podcasts and Star Trek enthusiast. It's welcome back to the show, Dave Mader. Welcome back to the show.
Welcome back.
Hey.
Welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me. Thanks. Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
They're supposed to be clapping. Where is it? Oh, here it is.
Oh, where's the applause? Oh, yes. I was just waiting for all that. Thank you. Yes, I'm here to be Jumanji. Are you trying to Jumanji me right now?
You're going to get Jumanji.
Doom, 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 doom.
Because I don't know. I'm not ready to be Jumanji'd. Does that mean like I go into the game or out of the game?
I think it means you go in. That's what I would think it is.
That's the worst way to get Jumanji'd. So.
It's true. This is episode 185. If you're playing at home, it's season 3, episode 35. And, you know, we're here doing it. 185 episodes. Steve, how do you feel about that, buddy?
I feel normal about it.
You've been here for 170 of them. Just put that into perspective for you, roughly. And Dave, this is your second time on the show. Yes. We're wrapping up Steve's birthday month. Steve, did you have a good birthday month?
Yeah, I picked 2 movies that I hadn't seen since I was a kid that I loved, and 2 movies that I watch all the frickin' time. And this is one of the movies that I watch all the frickin' time. But yeah, it was pretty good. I think the movies we chose was a good change of pace.
Yeah. It was Shaft and then 3 family adventures.
I love family adventures, gotta tell you,
true.
but I mean, Ants isn't really a family adventure. I guess it is. But we talked enough about Ants. Let's never mention Ants again.
Yeah, it depends on the lens you look at it through. If you want a good look into Ayn Rand, check out our Ants episode. But this is, of course, Jumanji, starring Robin Williams. Great film. And that's our show for this week. We'll see you next time. Have a great weekend and God bless. That's just me making a joke. Look, we'll get right into it.
Terrible.
I think we need to do a brief synopsis. I think that's what needs to happen.
A brief synopsis. You know who we need to talk to about that, though? We got to ask old Zardos's opinion. What do you think, Zardos?
Zardoz speaks to you. He demands you synopsize this film. Tell him how, why, who, what occurs in this film.
That's right. So, Steve, you want to give us your final synopsis of the month?
Sure. So, the movie Jumanji from 1995 is about a young boy named Alan Parrish, who is the son of an affluent shoemaker, I guess. He's a man who owns a shoe company, and it's relatively successful. They live in a mansion. His parents are very wealthy, and he's picked on because of that fact. But one day on his way home from school, he's getting chased by bullies. He goes to his dad's shoe factory where he destroys a shoe by accident. A very cool sneaker made by... what's the actor's name? I forget his name.
David Alan Grier.
David Alan Grier.
Yeah. And it destroys a machine, and then he leaves without saying that he's the one that destroyed the shoe. And on the way home, he finds a board game. He plays this board game with his local crush, and they get sucked into the board game. Or sorry, he gets sucked into the board game, and then we have a time jump where we meet our new main characters.
26 years goes
26
by.
years go by, yeah. And we meet the new protagonists of this film, who are two orphaned children that are staying with their aunt, who has purchased the Parrish home and is refurbishing it, redoing it, because it's been abandoned ever since the local shoemaker went mad and murdered his son and chopped him into a million pieces and hit him in the wall.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
We don't want to get sued by Jonathan Hyde.
But he didn't really do it. That's just what the town folk thought he did. He
Yes,
was actually
of
sucked into a game. You know,
He
he
was
got
actually sucked
Jumanji'd.
into Jumanji, yeah. And the kids find Jumanji in the attic, and they release Alan Parrish from the board game, who is now transformed into Robin Williams, a very hairy man, head to toe, covered
The
in hair.
jungle will do that to you.
Yeah. And they are then forced to find his childhood crush, who what's her name again? Sarah Whittle is her name in the movie. He says Whittle like that over and over. That's why it's burned into my brain.
Well, she's not going by that name anymore by the time. you
No,
find
she's like a
her.
psychic or something. She's like a Madam
Serena
something or other.
something.
Yeah. But she's basically had the worst life ever because she convinced herself that everything that she witnessed during her gameplay of Jumanji was fabricated, and she had lost her mind, and she had gone through years of therapy to convince herself of that fact. But they go get her because they need her in order to finish Jumanji. Because as we know, when you start playing Jumanji, a bunch of crazy shit comes out of the jungle into the real world, and you basically just need to finish the game in order for all of that to go back into the game.
Best case scenario, like a bird comes out, poops on you.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, you get sucked into the game. Something in betweens, like you maybe like a mosquito gives you,
I feel like we're gonna get into it. We're gonna be like, what is the worst thing that could come out versus the best options? But they get some pretty terrible options. The mosquitoes are pretty bad, but the spiders scare me the most. Also, just a man-eating lion. That's freaky. That would be
a
terrible.
huge
An
line.
earthquake that tears your house in half. I think
Yeah.
that fucking sucks.
Vines that try to eat you, flowers that try to eat you.
Or my favorite one, as the character of Sarah says, you didn't tell me there was a man in there with a gun who hunts people, which is very funny. That's a pretty bad one too. But yeah, they do eventually finish the board game. Jumanji goes back into Jumanji, and basically time reverts back to before he was sucked into the game, and they get to live their lives normally. It's a movie that is, on the surface, it is a family adventure movie, but not so deep under the surface. It is a movie that is deeply rooted in the idea of loss, dealing with loss, physical loss of family members, the loss of childhood, the loss of your sanity. All of these things are really kind of interwoven into the narrative in a relatively successful way, I would say. And I think it's one of the reasons the movie works so well is because of how dark it is, just beneath the sort of like the glimmer of CGI monkeys running around and driving motorcycles, which is fun. But yeah, we'll get into it. That's my brief synopsis.
I have a fun
Very good.
fact that sort of pertains to the synopsis. I actually found out what the word Jumanji means.
Oh.
According to Yahoo Movies, I'm going to cite my sources, don't worry. The word Jumanji is a Zulu word which means many effects, reflecting the game's unpredictable outcomes. So I've always wondered my whole life. This movie came out when I was 10. I'm now 40. 35 years or 20, a long time of being like, what is that even? Is that a real word? Apparently it is. Many effects.
I've
But,
never had the urge to look up what Jumanji meant. I just thought it was just a fun word they made up, but
It just
apparently
didn't
not.
sound
Kuchi Moya.
What about Zuthora? Is that a weird? Is it a real word from alien culture or something?
Sort of
The
like the god or something.
Jumanji. Cool. Well, thanks for that factoid.
Factoid.
Yeah,
Let's go into our brief histories.
our brief histories. Okay. I swear I have this right.
A brief history.
Small production note: they fucking changed the whole UI of StreamYard, so everything's everywhere. So it wouldn't be this. It wouldn't be Hey, Did You See This One without at least one technical difficulty. But Dave, what's your sort of brief history with this film? Just sort of your history. You've done this before. You know what's.
Oh, sure. Like, okay, so I have seen, unlike the James Bond film I was here to see you with last time. I have seen this many times before. I was 12 when this came out. I'm pretty sure I saw it in the theater. And saw it several times afterwards. I've seen it recently, but I watched it again last night in the big screen and and for the most part, I feel like this movie, has always been like, one I really liked. I think it was just kind of like I was the right age for the movie when it came out. I've always been nostalgic for it. You can almost consider this a Christmas movie. It's got that whole Christmas vibe thing at the end. Where they're like, no, you can't go on vacation to Canada because they'll die. So no, you have to work overtime, and we're gonna work you start next week before Christmas. It's kind of a strange solution, but they do it.
I swear, out of context, the end of this movie is so creepy and weird. Like every time I watch it, even when I was a kid, I was like, "This is weird."
Hey, it's those kids.
Yeah, the cast, like Robin Williams being such a big star in the '90s when I was watching movies and growing up, and like he was in Hook, of course, and many other things that were just huge, hits. With my youngest brother Jeff, 6 years younger than me, was definitely like big into these movies as well, and the rest of my family. So yeah, it's I love this movie. The CGI doesn't hold up, but I get what they were going for at the time. That's the one thing I was kind of like watching. This doesn't work so well. I think that there's some interesting things with the dad and the father-son relationship here between Robin Williams and his dad, or I guess the kid that plays the young Robin Williams more specifically. And
who was in a movie we did recently, and we were all like, "Wait, was that the guy from Jumanji?" Young Alan Parrish.
Young Alan Parrish, yeah. It's kind of weird to me that I guess because
oh my god, his name is Young. Oh wait, never mind. I thought his name was Young
Miles on Robin Williams. I guess over those 26 years, the fact that he survives 26 years in this crazy environment is like getting shot at by Van Pelt and whatever else is kind of insane. But Robin Williams can just sell that idea to you just through like how he plays it. So it's always it's one of his great performances. Absolutely.
Yeah, his little monologues throughout where like he's basically describing his experience in the jungle, and you never see the jungle, but you feel like you can see it in your mind's eye just based on how well he gets into the description and how frightening it sounds. Like not only is he giving you sort of the visualization of it, but the emotional resonance that those little terrifying moments had on him. And as a little kid, like I'm a bit younger than you guys, but I also saw this in theaters, and I was genuinely frightened for a lot of this movie, but in the good way, in the intentional way that the movie had going for it. Yeah, sorry, are you done with your brief history?
I think so. What else? I don't know what else to. Yeah, I've always been a fan of the movie, and I really like it. I'm glad to be here. And happy birthday, Steven.
Oh, thank you so much.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, the first time I saw it in theater. I believe it came out around Christmas time. It would be weird if it didn't and it has a Christmas scene at the end. But December. I loved Hook as a kid, so whenever Robin Williams was in something that was directed toward a child audience, I was lucky enough that my parents also really liked Robin Williams just in general.
My
like his whole
mom
career.
loved Mrs. Doubtfire was another big movie in that decade.
Yeah. So like, anything that he was in was kind of like, we didn't go to a lot of movies when we could maybe go to like 1 or 2 a year. So this was one of them. And I remember like every minute of it, and I was pretty young. So, I didn't have like that retention where, you're sort of sponging up everything yet, but this is right around when it started to happen. So like I was reciting the movie even after only seeing it one time to like people in the schoolyard and stuff, but it had a huge impact on me, and it lives in that same sort of special part of my movie watching heart as something like Hook, where I will put this on if I'm feeling a little bit depressed, or if I'm feeling under the weather, or if I'm hungover or something. I'll put on Jumanji to make myself feel better, and it works. But like you said, Dave, there's a bit of jank to it that doesn't quite hold up, but there's also some great CGI in this movie as well that does work. And
some of it's good. It's not all bad. Just some of it's it looks dated, or just it looks kind of
like when he's falling through the floor, I'm like, yikes, that doesn't look good.
But the stampede looks great.
Stampede looks good. The monkeys are okay, but they're still kind of
I think like when the car gets folded in half, I'm like, okay, that still works pretty well. Like the CGI tentacle pulling the car in half. I think it's because the car is practical and the CGI is
the lion is a bit like
the lion was like a puppet though.
The lion's mostly practical.
When he's
it's like moving
when he's running around, it's a little bit like, but it's still cute, and I think it gets away with it. There's some movies you go back and it's not even worth your time because of how terrible the CGI is, but this movie it's definitely.
I wouldn't put it in that category. It's but
it doesn't. It doesn't make the experience bad. I would say. There's probably people who are far younger than us that look at this and they're like, I'm gonna go watch the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson version because it's better. I'll be like, no,
it's not.
It's not better. It's not better at all. So anyway, my brief history is that I saw it once, and basically it burned into my brain, and I still quote this movie all the time, and I still watch this movie all the time, even without knowing it. Sometimes I'll drop lines from this movie and be like, what is that from again? I'm like, oh yeah, it's from Jumanji.
I got movies like that too. I don't know if this is necessarily one of them, but the movies I grew up with that are always like, old friends, comfortable. You put them on, they make you feel better.
Definitely. I call them chicken noodle soup movies.
Chicken
noodle soup movies. That's kind of the crux of this Steve's birthday and last year as well. Just like 90s feel good. You were there for them when you were a kid.
This year though, instead of picking 4 that were chicken noodle soup movies, I picked 2 that are chicken noodle soup movies and 2 that I just watched the absolute shit out of when I was a kid. But watching them now, I'm like, probably not going to revisit this one ever.
Yeah, for me, this movie definitely was a huge part of my life as like a kid. I don't remember if I owned it on VHS or not, but I definitely had a friend who did, and it was one of those like, it's Friday night. The Good Friday shows don't come on for a couple hours. Let's throw a movie on, and I had this friend and his brother Chris and Jason that I would get babysat at when I was around this age, around 10. And I would stay like on Friday, we'd come home from school, we'd watch a movie. I've told the story. This is kind of part of why I'm afraid of horror, because they would always want to watch the original Terminator, and I'd have to go to a different room. But I remember, but I remember watching Jumanji with them all the time. It'd be like a rental we would get all the time, or they owned it or something. And then we would go out. They had like a log cabin they had built in the backyard, and with a campfire in front of it, and we'd like watch the movie, and we'd go out and like roast marshmallows, and then go back in and watch Unsolved Mysteries and Rescue 911. So
those are good ones. I watched those too.
Unsolved Mysteries is scary too, man.
It's a scary show. And In Search of
Rescue 911, not always scary, but
that one was just like traumatizing.
Yeah,
more traumatizing. Like somebody died right there, of a heart attack,
or there's one episode where a kid is wearing polyester clothes and gets lit on fire, and they just like to his body. Anyway, that's gross. Anyway, this movie I remember watching a lot as a kid, but I never went back and rewatched it until a few years ago, and maybe like even a decade ago. So watching it this time around was fully a situation where I forgot about the weird time loop thing. I forgot the whole intro of like him as a kid and why he got sucked in. I remember him getting sucked in, but I didn't remember the whole like shoe stuff. And then I didn't remember like it time jumps. Like I didn't remember the whole first act as like two separate groups of kids dealing with just the game. I completely forgot about the opening scene with the like the 1800s kids like burying the
I had a
toy
good
as
time
well.
when I watched it. I had a bit of wine last night while I was watching it, but as soon as that 1869 came up, I was like, dun, 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 dun. The year was 1869.
Yeah. Yeah. I bet you're wondering how I got into this situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was I love this movie and always have. And the biggest takeaway from watching it this time around is seeing Robin Williams will always make me feel better. He was so good and so magical, and just he does the opposite of chewing the scenery in a way that's like he's so big and bold in scenes in a way that like he's always doing a good job, kind of like a Jim Carrey from this era. Obviously he did a lot more like adult comedy, but he's doing a lot, but it's not too much. And I think Robin Williams just really nailed that.
He is, I think Magical Man is accurate. He's one of those guys that you can put him into practically anything and he'll do it competently. At the worst it's competent, like at the best it's amazing.
And his best stuff is so timeless. Like this movie, I think it's so weird that they, I'll talk about the budget and stuff and why it didn't get a sequel, but it got like a TV show. But I really feel like they could have made like
sequels now, and they're bad.
And that's the point I was gonna make. Like they feel churned out now.
They don't have the same magic.
They're for a new generation.
Yeah, I mean maybe. I don't even think the new generation likes them that much.
The first one's better than the second one, I would say.
I can't even really remember the second one, but I have some okay memories of the first one, but it doesn't do the same job. The stuff that I was talking about earlier, where it's actually dealing with real issues that resonate with human beings emotionally, and it's not just fun to be had. Of course, there's lots of fun to be had in this movie, but it's also real, and you feel emotions, and you're like tearing up at the end. Like I was like practically bawling at the end of this movie. Like I forgot how beautiful this is.
All of these characters are flawed in some way.
Yes.
Like, it might be a small way or it might be a significant way. But there's something, none of them are just completely pure, which I think is, makes them feel more real, I guess. And more.
Yeah. And they don't feel caricature-y, which is almost the entire premise of the new Jumanji movies, is that they are caricatures of people you expect to be in movies. They're very tropey, and it's like, this is the vapid teenage girl character, and the joke is that she's in Jack Black's body. Hilarious.
That's a completely different vibe than this movie. Like, kind of message as well.
Most definitely. I guess that wraps up our brief histories. Do we want to get into production talk over here?
Yeah, production
talk. All right. Quiet on set. Are we rolling? Okay, let's shoot this piece of shit.
Sound. Speed. Action!
With a budget of only $65 million, this movie turned around $262.8 million, and they waited, I guess, nearly 26 years, probably way more than that actually, to make a sequel. As I mentioned before, I did find out they made a cartoon of this.
I fucking love the cartoon. It was a great.
I don't watch the cartoon myself.
Listen, I'm younger than you guys. Cartoons were my life. The cartoon was great. It was basically the children they all get sucked into the game, and Robin Williams is like protecting them in the jungle. So it's like, imagine this, but not in the real world, and they're inside the board game for the majority of it. It was fun, but I don't really have great memories of it, nor do I remember any specific episodes clearly. I just remember the art style being fun, and it was Jumanji. It was in that era where like everything got a cartoon show. If a movie was a mild hit and sold toys, they're like, let's make a cartoon.
Oh yeah, I watched the Beetlejuice cartoon. There was the Bill and Ted cartoon. There was
RoboCop cartoon, Rambo cartoon.
Yeah,
There was a cartoon of MC Hammer and his magical shoes.
There was like the sports stars. There was like Gretzky, Bo Jackson, and like Brett Hull or something. I think they were
so crazy.
Here's just to jog your memory. This is what it looked like.
Yeah, I never saw this myself.
I remember it now.
I like how they have put it back up again, like the hair on the forearms and the legs. It's like, remember, kids, Robin Williams is extremely hairy.
Yeah.
I made the joke to myself last night while I'm sipping a glass of wine when Peter is turning, like, his hair when he's turning into the monkey and his wrists get all hairy. I'm like, oh no, he's turning into Robin Williams. Laughed.
I feel like they should have found like a hairy kid, or they should have at least put hair on the kid to like connect it, you know, with Robin Williams. I feel like that was a bit of a miss.
Yeah. They really missed an opportunity. They probably tried. They're like, we can't find a kid hairy enough we can't find a kid with
Can
Robin
you just glue
Williams.
some fur to him or something? Or just cut some off Robin and just put it on his chest and go, that's fine.
We don't know that they didn't actually, you know.
I believe this is a true fact. It's that in kids movies, Robin Williams does not have. They shave his forearms for kids movies because it's too much and it like puts the rating up. They're like, we need to shave him because this movie's for kids.
This is a PG-13 or an adult accompanied
also known as a Robin Williams level of hair rating.
It's now NC-17 because of the hair level on Robin Williams.
But like you can see in Hook, like when he's wearing long sleeves, you can see the hair poking out, and then when the scene where he has his shirt off, he's completely hairless because they like had to shave him because they're like, we can't show kids that much hair. They can't handle it. Their minds won't be able to comprehend. They'll think it's an animal.
Yeah. Why isn't Dad that hairy? This film is directed by Joe Johnson, who is a very prolific director. He did Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, The Rocketeer, Jurassic Park 3, and he's still working. He did Captain America: The First Avenger.
I don't know if, I was gonna say I don't know if Jurassic Park 3 is at like the peak of his directorial ability, but The Rocketeer rules. I watched that movie pretty often.
Yeah, Rocketeer's solid, absolutely.
That was actually on the list for this month, that I swapped it out for Ants. But yeah, October Sky's pretty good too. Like I've seen a lot of Joe Johnston stuff, and like he is a solid journeyman director where it's like if he's doing something, he will do a good job. He's never gonna push out crap.
And he worked on he works in visual effects. I'm seeing here too. So he worked on Raiders of the Lost Ark in the visual effects department, which is interesting.
There's lots of people who started on Star Wars and Indian, and Spielberg and Lucas just give those guys their opportunities to do more. They're like, this guy is, he is like, what's his name? The guy, he made Mad God, that Mad God movie that came out recently. He's been working on it since the 80s. He just finished it. It's a stop frame animation movie, but he did a ton of effects for Empire Strikes Back and Star Wars and stuff. And also a director now. So yeah, it's good when people start in the industry, also grow out of not just being like locked into one thing. It's like if you're going into a creative field and you're able to flex your muscles in different directions, it's cool and I like it.
Yeah, agreed.
Also the book, it's based on a book, I believe Zathura, and like there's a bunch of like weird board game books that the author wrote. Only 2 of which became successful, I believe. In Zathura, not so much.
Who did the screenplay for that, though?
The screenplay? The author of the book actually did a version of the screenplay, but
it was written by, it looks like,
Jonathan Hensley and Greg Taylor and Jim Strain did the screenplay.
7 people worked, but then also like Greg Taylor and Chris Van Allensburg.
Yeah, that's the author, I believe, is Chris Van Allensburg.
Jonathan Hensley, he wrote Armageddon, The Saint, The Punisher. I believe that's the one with
Thomas Jane.
Pretty prolific as well. The Irishman, Kill the Irishman. That's not.
All right, Jason, stop reading IMDb. Close it. If you haven't seen it, don't say it. Kill the Irishman. I've never even heard of. What is that?
I thought it was The Irishman, which I had heard of.
But have you seen The Irishman? No.
I'm sure I have somewhere along the way. Anyway, let's not get lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
I want to point out who's actually in this film: Robin Williams, Jonathan Hyde, very young Kirsten Dunst. I have a fun fact about that. Apparently, Scarlett Johansson actually auditioned for Judy Shepherd, but it went to Kirsten Dunst. And the director hesitated on Robin Williams to cast him because of his reputation for improv and fearing he wouldn't adhere to the script. But we all know that whether he did or didn't, it works for this film.
Yeah.
I would imagine he respected it because it's like a kid's book. He's probably having his daughter around this time, Zelda Williams, and probably wanted to make a cool kids thing for her.
That's why he did Hook as well. But yeah, I think Tom Hanks was the first choice and he couldn't do it for whatever reason. So Robin Williams was the choice. But I don't know. Like I can see a version of this with Tom Hanks, but I think that it would be the inferior product, in my opinion.
Tom Hanks and Scarlett Johansson would be a vastly different movie, I think.
Yeah,
it would have a different vibe. Any of these all these actors do so well. I think that's quite the ensemble, really, as well.
And Meredith from Frasier, BB Newirth, is that her name?
Yeah.
And Bonnie Hunt is in it.
Bonnie
Dave
Hunt.
Ellen Greer.
Bonnie Hunt, I was confused with Helen Hunt and also Holly Hunter. But Bonnie Hunt.
Also Van Pelt, the hunter of humans.
Also Van Pelt, who I also confused with his father, which is F. Murray Abrams, right?
Well, Jonathan Hyde plays both of them. Plays both the father
Jonathan
and
Hyde plays both.
Okay. And he's the best part of the movie, in my opinion. I like Jonathan Hyde a lot, but he pops up so rarely. But when he's in stuff, he does steal the show a lot of the time. Like
he's still working.
You're so funny. Yeah, I think the only thing that I've seen him in recently though was like that show, The Strain, the vampire show.
He's on The Strain, yeah.
Yeah, okay. He plays like I think he's just a human who wants to become a vampire. I can't remember. That show kind of blew.
Oh yes, that old chestnut.
It started strong and then it ended just weird. I was like, this is dumb. But anyway, Jonathan. Anyway, great. He's great.
Just to sort of wrap up production talk here, the soundtrack obviously awesome. I didn't really look into who did it. Do you happen to know off the top of your head, Steve?
I don't. But it's like Williams light, like it's a John Williams sound alike score, but
James Horner,
who is basically I don't want to call him.
This is a James Horner.
Yeah, he does all the Star Trek music, right?
He did a lot of Star Trek. He did, Star Trek 2 and with Wrath of Khan, which is one of the most iconic scores. And I think he did 4 as well. And did he do 6? Or was that Goldsmith? That might have been Goldsmith. But and Horner also did Braveheart, and he did a couple other.
Did he do Lord of the Rings?
I think he did Titanic.
Titanic, well.
Yeah. He did Titanic. He did The Amazing Spider-Man, and he did. There was another one here I saw, Apocalypto, and Avatar. That's a pretty huge one.
Yeah. So like Horner's score in this movie does a ton to make this movie just pop. It would have been a good movie anyway, but it really just takes it onto another level.
Yeah, he was good. He was, and he's like he was household enough, I guess. You can say James Horner to most movie buff people, and they'll know at least one or two of his scores. R.I.P. You were good, Horner.
You did it, Horner.
Yeah. He also, I think he died pretty young too. Yeah, 61. That's not great.
Yeah, I'd like to get older than that, personally. As far as visual effects and technical innovations go, according to Wikipedia, the film utilized groundbreaking CGI, including the development of software that allowed for realistic facial expressions and digital fur on animals like the lions and monkeys. And we did discuss that a little bit already, but you can really see some of the antiquated CGI, but you can also really see how they were trying. Like, I remember this movie being pretty mind-blowing when it came out, because I think the highest CGI production to this point was like Jurassic Park, and nothing really else touched that. But this sort of got into that realm. And
I was
know
trying to do the same thing as Jurassic Park,
Yeah.
maybe to a less successful degree, but it definitely was part of the draw, right? Like I remember seeing the trailer for this and being blown away by this, you know.
Yeah, for the
CGI
time,
that
this
hasn't
was
held
state
up.
of the art, absolutely, and like nothing quite ever looked this great in terms of like maybe like. No, I don't even know what else. Yeah, Jurassic Park is maybe a comparison, but a lot of that was practical as well. Or
Yeah.
Mostly practical. Yeah.
That's like the gold standard. You can't really touch it, you know. It's still good. But you know, if you watch Jurassic Park now, there's a couple of shots that it wasn't quite there, you know.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
And then you watch Jurassic Park 3, which we mentioned earlier, and oh my god, why did you revert to 1995 CGI?
You always say that, but it's puppets. It's mostly puppets in that movie. It's so many puppets. It's just poor cinematography. It's poorly shot shit. Sorry to he literally directed this movie as well. The director of Jumanji directed Jurassic Park 3.
They shit that movie out though, so I don't know if he had a lot to say.
Yeah. I think that was one of those like, oh, Spielberg doesn't want to do it. Do you want to do it? And he's like, sure. I'll shoot it in a week.
I'll take millions and millions of dollars to turn this thing out.
Jurassic Park 3 is definitely the weakest probably of the franchise, but it's not a terrible movie. Like it's fine.
I think there are, if you watch it through like the lens of like cinematography strictly, there's just such weird decision making that my brain is like, why? Like I burst out laughing at a couple of shots being like, why would you frame it like this? This is so weird. It feels like they shot it like it was supposed to be a VR ride at a couple of parts.
Oh my god.
Anyway, we're not talking about that. We're talking about this.
Jumanji.
Should we get into the old body?
Let's talk about the body.
The body of the episode.
Well, we've made it. We just had a quick 10-second rave to indicate that we are, of course, in the body of the episode. At the very beginning of this film, we get a really cool, the title pops up.
Take a breath.
Swirls.
There we go.
The title pops up and it swirls. I'll just do this because it's said like 4,000 times in the movie, but basically, where the fuck?
That's when they said the name of the movie in the movie.
It's just the title of the movie, so they say it a million times. I don't have a timestamp for when they first say it, but I'm sure they say it within the first 5 minutes.
Or at least you see it on the board game, right?
Yeah, I don't know if they do say it until like well into it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
At least until like Alan and the girl, they sit down to play the game for the first time.
Yeah. They read the rules and stuff. I think that might be the first time you hear it. But I don't pay attention to it in the same way that you do, Jason. I forget to do it every time. I'm like, oh.
I dropped the ball on this one in ants because I'm like, they're clearly say ants. But last week we learned that, like, do they even say ants in the movie Ants? Anyway.
You the ant.
You the ant. Yeah. It's 1869. Some kids are unloading a chest. They're burying it. I wrote probably the game in it. Obviously it is.
Which is a really good cold open, man. I like this kind of shit.
Yeah.
Where it adds like a layer of ancient cursed knowledge to the audience, being like, this thing is older than time itself.
Maybe because I had watched this movie so many times, but it, like the movie I'm about to reference, but it reminded me of Hocus Pocus a little bit, because Hocus Pocus has that like beginning showing back in this era. And I think I associate this and that because, you know, I was 10.
The costumes that they're wearing.
Yeah. I actually forgot this takes place in 1969, 100 years later, but it doesn't. Just this section does. It's Brantford, New Hampshire. We have some bullies chasing Alan Parrish on bikes. They head to his dad's factory where they are excavating outside. They show the factory. We see David Alan Grier show. We get that little moment where he invents the basketball shoe. I wanted to ask you guys, I recognize that this was supposed to be like a prototype for a shoe that wouldn't exist for another 20 years, but the shoe that they chose for this moment looked like it was used.
Yeah, and it said Parish on it, right? But
Yeah.
okay, I got so many questions about this, even the opening of this movie, because 1869, were board games a thing in 1869? Like,
I don't know.
any
Good
kind
call.
of board game? Because I don't know if those even existed back then. Like one thing I was
I'm
thinking
not
about
sure.
this, the new Jumanji with the Rock and whatever, like that. I like video games are more relevant than board games, I guess. In the modern era, so it makes more of a justification for the reboot. But I was like, in 1869, they were no, board games were like the big thing.
Oh my
I feel like
god. There's something called the Royal Game of which was they unearthed the oldest board game ever on record at 2400 BC.
Okay, I guess they were a thing. All right, so it's they were around for a while. Okay, then the fact that it's Brantford, not Ontario, but Brantford, in
Connecticut?
where is it?
New
Connecticut?
Hampshire.
New Hampshire, but it's actually Tawasin, British Columbia. That they filmed this whole movie. So Canadian connection here. Okay,
That's why that's why you can see their breath for 90% of the exterior shots. They're
Then
filming in Vancouver in winter.
Yeah, it's Vancouver. Yeah. Then it's like 13 kids chasing Alan Parrish, right? At the beginning of this movie. It's not right. It's completely no. Why is this allowed? Even in 1969, this feels like And then his father's like, "Well, I didn't know there were 13 of them." Right?
Yeah.
One. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like, but they wanted
A whole army of children with the kid with severe case of bully face. There's the kid who's like, he's like cute, but he's also kind of got those like I'm a little shit eyes. You're just like, I want to kick this kid right in his head.
He's like, "Hey, Alan Parrish made eyes at my girl. All right, all 12 of you, let's go. We're gonna go baseball team, and we're gonna go kick this guy's ass.
We're gonna make him eat dog poop."
Well, I have one of these.
Theories.
My theory is that the Van Pelt character represents those like old school turn of the century like explorers, right, who would go into jungles and they'd bring stuff back. This board game might have come from a literal jungle. Like it might have been like haunted by like mysticism from the jungle. That's why obviously these things come out of it.
Yeah,
but I think it
from an ancient tree in the middle of the jungle primeval that was used to do magical curses on.
That's what I was going to ask you guys. Like, why was this thing even made in the first place? Like,
evil.
Evil. I think maybe revenge on European colonialism.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. They made it to trick this stupid white man. They're like, we made you a gift. It's got all of the heart of the jungle in it, and then they sent it to Britain, and it killed everybody.
But it's like a jungle from hell. It's not even like specifically.
Yeah,
I think it's supposed to be like an alternate dimension for sure, where like it's an endless jungle that is just full of horrors and terror,
like mosquitoes that are the size of your head and whatever.
And like the unfortunate fact is that the new movies kind of add this layer of lore to it that kind of stomps on the mystery. It removes the mystery of it, and it makes it feel a little bit less than. I think the idea of Alan Parrish giving you that brief sort of synopsis of what the jungle is to you is far more effective than 3 movies with Kevin Hart and Jack Black running around in CGI hell or whatever.
Yeah, totally. And like, why does in the jungle? You're like, why these monkeys can ride motorcycles and they can like drive cars and they can do all kinds of things. I don't think that this is a normal jungle that these places, these Jumanji monkeys are coming from.
I never really associated the jungle with earthquakes, but here we are.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that the Earth has earthquakes only in specific regions, right? Like if there's a fault line in a jungle, then there's going to be an earthquake there.
I suppose. Is there a fault line in the Amazon?
I don't know. I don't know my fault lines.
You don't know your plate's tectonique?
They don't.
I don't know why I said that in French. Yeah, so I also thought it was funny when he runs up and he like looks out the window and the kids are literally circling on their bikes. I thought that was
like vultures. It's good, man. It's threatening. It's scary. But this movie, like, did I say this to you earlier today, Jason? I can't remember. I'm like, this movie made me prepare for one of two things because I thought for sure it was going to happen. One is that I was going to get beaten up a lot by shitty bullies, and two, my parents were absolutely going to die, and I was going to have to go live with my aunt and uncle in a horrifying, spooky mansion. None of those things happened, but I was convinced that they were because movies from the 90s really made you think that it was going to happen this way.
Well, it plays into the quicksand paranoia we all had as kids as well, because
this movie added to that. There's quicksand in this movie.
I never wanted to go into the woods basically after really seeing this. I already didn't like doing it very much in like Scouts and Cubs and whatever else, but this movie didn't help the cause. I also want to just back to this like the shoe factory of it all, and David Alan Grier, who he's like he's the one who invents sneakers before Nike does. I guess that's what this movie is trying to imply. But
basically
instead,
20 years before, yeah.
But instead, Alan, Robin Williams' younger self, is the one who says, "Oh, that's a cool shoe, David Alan Grier." Then he puts it into the machine.
Like
it destroys the factory.
The shoe mangler. That's what I wrote.
And it was right at the moment where David Alan Grier had this special appointment with his father to present this idea. But then it goes into the machine and gets destroyed. And then because Alan Parrish is not on good terms with his father, he doesn't fess up to it. He lets David Alan Grier get fired.
Yeah.
Apparently he went on to become a great successful police officer. but then that's what this movie's also a time travel movie, because at the end of the movie, he undoes that, where he's like, "No, David Alan Grier was not the one who put the shoe on the conveyor belt today, Dad. It was me." And he's like, "Thank you for telling me, son." So maybe he rehires him. Maybe he does invent the Nike style running shoe
for Preston or Parrish shoes. Yeah.
And David Alan Grier does not become a police officer, and then it's completely different in this time.
Unfortunately, you don't get an answer to that, but he is at the Christmas party playing
He's at the Christmas party, but he's not dressed as a police officer.
Well, I mean, he wouldn't be if he was invited, right? Imagine you showed up if you were dressed as a cop if you were.
True.
But I think the implication is that he doesn't get fired, and then he maybe becomes a partner with Paris Shoes, because they're doing more than just shoes now.
It seems, and we know that that Robin Williams seems to be in charge of the marketing.
Yeah.
If not the factory overall at this point, wherever his dad is at this point. So much to get into in this movie.
Yeah.
I'm just saying we'll talk about that loop, because it's so fucking it's very Back to the Future, but it's such a weird specific loop that happens. At this point, the boys are waiting outside, and we find out that Parrish has been hanging around with the bully's girlfriend Sarah. And when he goes back outside, after his dad's like, "You got to stand up to them," he goes back outside.
We're skipping over the fact that everybody in town knows Alan Parrish. Like, everybody is saying hi to him. Like the shopkeepers, the crossing guards, everybody.
Like,
"Hi,
a big
Alan."
Deal. They're basically the richest family in town, almost, or something.
That's what the implication is. Yeah, and his dad is somebody of great importance to the town. He's not just like the local shoe baron. He's also like important.
He's a Parrish. He went to that school, like his uncle, and
every single Parrish who's ever lived has gone to this school. Alan, come over here. We need to speak about this shitty boarding school that we all go to.
But the second he walks outside, the kids beat the piss out of him and steal his bike. And
this is savage, even for 1969. I gotta say, 13 on 1.
Yeah, it's not even a fair fight in any way. They just shit kick him. Like they surround him as you would in a cartoon, and then they disappear in the cloud of dust parts, and he's covered in bruises and blood.
Right. And his clothes he has this cut lip for most of the movie. Like anytime you see the young version of Alan, he's pretty much beat up.
He's got a fat lip,
and a black eye too. He hears the beating of the drum, the iconic beating of the drum, and he goes down into the excavation site, and it looks like a solid like dirt wall that he just kind of like moves dirt out of the way and finds the chest. And
for some reason, it's so good. It's
very good. It looks cool. For some reason, this stuck with me as a kid. He's like, "I can't get into this lock," and he grabs a shovel and like bashes the lock off. I don't know why this is stuck with me, but just the shot of him, it just stuck in my brain.
Yeah, me too, man. But I mean, a lot of stuff.
You could do that? A shovel could do that to a lock? Maybe like a really old, corroded lock.
Yeah, corroded lock.
It's 100-year-old lock, guys. Yeah. From which times?
Question too, because like this thing, the game when it has like that drum beat, whatever going on, it seems to call specifically to children. Adults can.
I was
only
wondering
seem to
about
hear
this
it,
as well.
right? And so does that make a case that it's more evil or less evil if it's like specifically?
I'm gonna say
targeting
more
children?
evil.
More evil.
If a very dangerous, deadly board game only calls to children, yeah, this thing was definitely made by a witch, for certain.
Come, children, come get you're eaten by spiders.
It's also a game, and kids are gonna want to play it. Some adults would find it and be like, "This weird drumming board game, no, thank you."
Because as they're playing the game, I'm like, are they ever gonna land on like a space and it's like a good thing? Like, oh well, the sun's shining today, and like and you found. Some
I was
water
wondering
to
that
drink.
too, because every board game does have like
Something good.
Yeah, like even like Monopoly and something. It's like collect $200, or like Snakes and Ladders. There's ladders and snakes.
Even the
Game of
most
Life.
neutral thing in this whole movie is, go back to, and it still fucking screws them so hard because he gets stuck in the floor because of it.
Yeah.
But they take the board game home. They start to play with it, but they get interrupted, and the dad is actually a complete dickhead to Alan at this point. He's proud that his kid got his ass kicked, basically, and then he's going to send him to boarding school for his trouble. All of this was another thing I was afraid of as a kid. I was going to do so bad in school that I was going to get sent to a boarding school. I feared boarding schools when I was a kid for some reason. My parents had no money. Yeah. They had no way to send me to a literal boarding school. And it doesn't even seem that bad, like surface level, if every parish has gone to this particular academy. Like it's sort of that's where your family goes. You learn how to become a millionaire. That kind of nonsense, top 1% stuff.
Yeah, I know a couple people who've gone to boarding school, and actually, I think a friend of the show, Mike Smith, who wanted to. I wanted to have him on for Jumanji, but I guess he just didn't want to be on the show. No, not that we don't like having Dave here. Dave, you're always welcome here. But he also, when I first met Mike, he made a replica of the Jumanji board game, and it was like the coolest thing I'd ever seen. I was like, this is amazing. Who the fuck made this? He's like, I did. I'm like, you made this? Tell me how. Some of your secrets. And then I'll be back in one sec. Another one of my friends. He also went to boarding school, and it seems all right. It just seems like going to college, but you're going at a younger time,
When I was this age and younger, like the idea of boarding school terrified me. I hated the idea of it. When I went on this rugby trip when I was about 15, we had to spend a week in Scotland in this boarding school.
Right.
And in some ways it was cool, but just like, I don't know, I just think either I snore or whatever. I just don't like, when I ever went like camping or something, I didn't like sleeping around other people. I don't think other people like sleeping around me. And, and so I was just like, the idea of like that part of boarding school was just like, no, I would never want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it didn't sound like something desirable, but it when I look at it through like an examination of like, would I enjoy it? I would probably enjoy the activity and the sort of like camaraderie of it. But yeah, I would definitely prefer being with my friends I've known my whole life. But then like, I had to move when I was like in the 5th grade, and all my friends are gone. I have to start again. It's similar, right? Like that kind of like disconnection from what you know.
Exactly. But
yeah,
it was just like when his father presents this to him, I'm like, his father is the worst person ever. Like wants to send him away to like let him leave his own room, his own house.
Yeah,
and off there, like.
And it is it's one of those. It is kind of like a movie tropey thing, right? Where it's like, we're sending you to boarding school. You should be happy. But it's usually a punishment in most movies, right? Whereas the dad doesn't understand it. But he's also not dealing with it very well. He's not sitting him down and having a conversation with him about like, you might like it. It's like, no, you're going. No questions asked.
A big part of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures is like Ted's going to have to go to military school.
Yeah.
Right? Because his dad's like, no, you're going. And like,
that's a little bit more intense though.
It's more intense than boarding school, but it's kind of, to me, it's like the same idea.
Yeah.
And they have a kerfuffle. They have a little fight. and he basically says that he hates his dad and never wants to see him again. And they're going to some sort of ball, right? A gala of some kind.
Yeah,
And
He's
he's
going to a gala, yeah.
and he's going. This is where we discover he's kind of more than just the local shoe man. He's also important because he's making some kind of speech to the community. I don't know.
He's probably the president of the Lions Club or something.
Yeah. There's like an implication that he owns the town. You know, like he basically is more important than the mayor.
And it's so interesting the light that we see him at this part versus the end, because we're just seeing like a miscommunication between father and son. But from our point of view, we think that he's this like complete asshole, and it's really just it just seems like they've had a series of miscommunications, and also like his dad just wants Alan to stand up for himself, but we even see when they get into the car and the mom is like, you gotta like lay off him, and he almost says like, and then she's like, what? And he goes, never mind, just go. He doesn't know how to express himself. So luckily, spoilers, he does by the end, but it causes Alan to pack up his stuff and leave when Sarah shows up with his bike, which I thought was sweet. And they play Jumanji. And Sarah rolls the dice by accident, which starts the game. And we get the first attack, which is bats. And this is probably one of the more normal things that comes out of the game too. Like if they don't roll again and they put the game away, there's just some bats have been added to the town. They don't seem like
they're not just bats, though. They're fucking massive bats. They're like the size of chihuahuas, with like massive wings. They're huge.
But important to note that the second they start this game in 1969, technically, like they're kind of outside of time, right? Like now it's kind of like its own pocket universe, because when the game ends and everything's undone, they're just back to who they were. They remember everything. But
yeah, it's almost like it creates like a branching timeline or something, and then when they complete the game, the timeline deletes itself.
Deletes, like it's just sort of undone and it never happened. But certain people are still born, and it's very.
It's odd. It's strange. Yeah, it doesn't seem like the effect of Alan Parrish being absent and Sarah Whittle being crazy, quote unquote crazy, affects the main timeline all that much. Like everything kind of seems to more or less be the same. That these two people's impact only really directly impacted like their own families.
Right.
One of the bigger impacts is that his parents are still alive in this redone universe, right? Like
when they by the end of this movie, and the timeline's been changed, and so they can make different choices. But like Sarah went through the entire timeline, and she got to see like certain things happen, historical events, and she would have all that knowledge. Like she said, but maybe she forgets, potentially as like time goes on, and she wouldn't remember like. Such and such became the president, or they invented this computer in this year, or whatever. Like, these types of things that.
It seems like she thought it was all a dream, or all like it didn't happen, more than her like forgetting over time. So she like goes to therapy and all this stuff. But it was so traumatizing that she probably wasn't even really sure what she witnessed, because when Alan rolls, I guess it's like he got onto a square that you get sucked into the game until a 5 or 8 is rolled.
In the jungle, you must wait until we roll on 5 or 8.
Yeah. So she freaks out and leaves, and she probably goes the 26 years being like, I don't even know what I was seeing, because it was so traumatic. It was so insane.
I blame Robin Williams or young Alan here, because as he's getting sucked in, and he takes a while to get sucked into the game, into the Jumanji of it all, right?
Yeah.
As he's getting Jumanji'd in, he could have yelled, Sarah, make sure you roll again, 5 or 8. He has a long time to like kind of think about this, but that's why he ends up having to spend 26 years. I don't feel bad for him later on when he's mad at Sarah. I'm like, no, you should have been figuring this out on your very long swirly around the drain there.
I mean, I can't also blame him for being a little bit peeved. He was trapped in the jungle for 26 years. That's a rough life. But he's got so many survival skills now too. So he kind of got, and I assume he retained those still when he, got turned back into a kid again. He probably still has all those reflexes and skill sets that he had to learn while living in the jungle.
He probably makes adventure videos now for YouTube, like that one guy where he goes and does survivalist stuff and makes bank off that. But we do fast forward 26 years. I thought it was a mom and her kids, but I think it's their aunt.
Yes,
has them.
Yeah,
because the kids' parents have died recently. In a car
Right.
accident in
And-
Canada.
In Canada, they're checking out the parish house, and Peter's looking around. We find out that Judy is a liar. She lies about the kids, the parents sinking on a yacht in Africa, but they always stop her. Like, you got to stop lying all the time. That was another thing I remember as a kid, like chronic liars. There's always those kids around and constantly lying about everything, just for the thrill of it. It seems like that probably stems.
It's a type of like mental illness.
Yeah,
chronic lying,
like a traumatic coping mechanism. But
Yeah.
I was really just taken with how good of a performance Kirsten Dunst has in this movie. She just didn't Interview with the Vampire, I think the year before this, and I think that was the first thing she was really in. And I'm like, man, she's like chewing up these scenes with Robin Williams and everybody else. However old she was, like she was maybe a little bit older than me at the time. And really, really good. And she went on, of course, to be Mary Jane and everything in Spider-Man a couple of years later. But considering this was like maybe her second movie ever, it's pretty great.
Pretty
she's
good,
also
yeah.
plays this kind of evil kind of a character, which kind of speaks to the range she has. Like, she's not playing just that stereotypical kid, protagonist character.
Yeah, she's almost like borderline psychotic, but like in a fun way. Yeah, like a fun psychopath. But her brother Peter is also dealing with the trauma in a different way, right? Like he basically doesn't speak to anybody except for her until Alan pops out of the board game. Oh my God, he's getting Jumanji.
He's getting Jumanji into something.
Oh, Mike just sent me a picture of his Jumanji board game. I can save it and put it on.
Yeah, do that. I want to see it.
I will.
Does it have magnets in it, or like the pieces move with magic?
I mean, so I worked with him at, we used to build escape games together, like escape rooms.
Yeah.
And he was pretty good with magnetic mechanisms, so I'd be surprised if there wasn't magnets in it. Let's see. He sent it to me via text. This is going to take a second. So let's keep talking about the movie while I do this.
Yeah, well, yeah, Kirsten Dunst. The kid Peter, yeah, he's like, seems like, oh, I'm sad, my parents are dead. He's kind of like the young Batman, I guess. But, he's only talking to his sister, though. I guess he's not an orphan like Batman. Never mind, I'm dropping this comparison. But he's
orphan-ish, yeah.
Yeah, he turns into a monkey later on. So do with that what you want. And he's, I don't know, I don't know who else auditioned for the role, but he's not. I think he's probably like my least. He does a good job, but he's probably the least memorable part of this movie for me in some ways, because how he's kind of meant to be this quiet, sort of unassuming character, but also there's this whole dynamic between him and Robin Williams throughout, this whole father-son kind of vibe going on, with the kids.
Yeah, and I mean, he literally says it at one point, like, I accidentally became my dad. He's like, he has all the opportunity in the world to not be that sort of disconnected, cold figure that his father was, but still ends up doing it anyway.
Robin Williams, like, his character is dealing with the fact that he finds out his father's dead, and and with Peter, his father and mother are dead as well, and so they kind of find each other in the Jumanji of it all.
The Jumanji verse. All right.
Muted Jason.
I muted you, Jason, because we couldn't hear each other over whatever you were doing. This is the Jumanji board game that Mike Smith made. I muted you, Jason. You have to unmute yourself.
Maybe you have to unmute him. Oh,
Sorry. No, I didn't realize that you could hear me. My bad.
Yeah, anyway, This is the Jumanji board game that Mike made. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
It's
Anyway.
got Van Pelt on the cover too, which is kind of
Yeah.
interesting. That he's like one of the 4 part. I don't know.
What are they? Monkey,
integral.
elephant, rhino, and Van Pelt. Yeah. No horrifying spider, mosquito. Those are the 2 that freak me out the most in this movie. The mosquitoes, like zombieing people out, like people just dying in the street. The cars crashing and them like pulling out a person and it has like almost like a vampire bloodsuck hole in the neck. That stuff was freaky. Oh, they're all pale. They lost a lot of blood, guys.
They crashed cars. Like it was not good.
I didn't even clock that. Like that's a really good observation. That person that was in the car all like messed up and like careening, that they were sucked out. Is that yeah?
Mosquito.
That's wild. Yeah, that's wild. It reminded me like the mosquito stuff reminded me of Jurassic Park a little
Sorry,
bit.
I
Only
forgot
because
to
I've
eat
been-
before we started.
That's
I'm just
cool.
trying to mouth food.
I'll move the story forward a little bit. Pete goes up to the attic. He sees a bat up there. They call an exterminator. The exterminator tells him that somebody was murdered in the house. It was Alan Parrish, and he thinks it was the dad who's chopped him up into pieces.
Oh yeah, they call an exterminator because what was it? It was they saw the bat.
It was a
right?
bat.
Yeah, and he's like doing that classic like I don't know if I'd want to live in a house where there was a freaking murder. And she's like, what? It's like, yeah, old man Parrish fucking killed his kid and chopped him up and put his body in the walls. There's 101 places you could hide a child corpse in here. And she is loving it too. She's not even scared. She's like, this is awesome. We live in
Yeah.
a murder house.
I love living in a murder house. My parents are dead.
Yeah. And then she
there's-
drops it later during dinner. She's like, you need to stop with your lies, young lady. And she's like, well, now I know why you
It's
got
not a
this
lie.
house so cheap.
But as the audience, we know this isn't true, right? Like that's the
Yeah.
You know, we don't. No, it's the Jumanji of it all. The Jumanji's trying to get you.
He didn't get chopped up. He got sucked into a board game. Duh.
He was Jumanji'd.
There's the montage of them cleaning the house, which I enjoyed. On day 1 of school, the principal is already calling regarding Judy lying at school. And that's the dinner table scene that Steve was talking about, where they're talking about the fact that she's, telling people now that they live in a murder house, and she's telling the aunt that they live in a murder house, and she's like, go to your room. We don't live in a murder house.
But she
You should
also,
be sending them to a boarding school.
yeah,
Where the parish hall is.
she's clearly loaded. She bought a mansion, but I guess it was cheap because of the murders.
Did she get like the life insurance money maybe? And like she's like, okay, I'm going to buy this house and raise
Oh,
the
maybe.
kids.
I
in
guess,
this
yeah,
house."
if both of them died, they may have left whatever money they had to her. Who knows? All I know is that house is way too big for 3 people to live in. Like, why would you ever
Yeah.
need that size of a house?
With all the furniture still there, like all the
Yeah.
possessions at the parishes, including Jumanji.
Also, you telling me over 26 years, no one was like, yeah, I'll live in a house where someone was murdered if it only costs me $100K and it's this big? For sure.
And if Alan's father was really trying to solve this mystery, like, he comes home, his son is missing, they interview Sarah because he knows he saw him with Sarah before he disappeared. And Sarah's like, we were playing a board game and then he got sucked into the board game. He finds his board game in the coffee table, but it's not hitting the drums for him, I guess, or something. So he just slams it shut and then he puts it in the attic, and that's where it stayed for 26 years, presumably.
Yeah, you would think that he would become obsessed with it, but maybe he's too logical of a man to ever even entertain the idea that he was sucked into the board game.
Right.
But because you would think eventually he would be like, just show me what you mean then, and then she would have rolled it or something. But I mean,
leads
she's
was
also
he
lost.
chasing that wasn't that?
I know, yeah. He spent all his time. Well, I mean, when Robin Williams goes to look for his parents or whatever, we get a bit of backstory as to what happened there too, right? Like, they find the board game, they start playing it, and then Alan pops out. But we get like a few other things first, right? Like we get the lion, the mosquitoes. And then
Yeah, because they find the board game because they're supposed to go to school, and their aunt does not take them to school. She's like, "Do you want me to take you to school?" They're like, "No, the bus will be here in 2 seconds." But then they're like, "No, board game or the drums are happening, so we have to chase the drums down." And then they decide, "Oh no, we're not going to school. We're going to play this board game."
Mhm.
Yeah, because they that night, like before that, they're both hearing the drums, but they're both like lying to each other about hearing the drums, and they still hear the drum the next morning. And the aunt leaves, and they're supposed to go to school and get picked up by the bus. But instead of going to school, they go back to the attic and find Jumanji and just immediately roll the dice. Sarah, I think it's funny. She's like, it has to be microchips. I'm like, what the fuck? What does that mean? At least magnets. But they first get attacked by the giants.
It's a callback joke because when they played in the 60s, she's like, oh, it must be magnet tips. And then,
oh yes.
So it's just like a callback joke.
Okay. Thank you. I forgot. I made a note about the magnets too, and I completely forgot. But they first get attacked by giant mosquitoes. Pete rolls snake eyes, and then the monkeys come out and they smash up the kitchen. And I wrote pretty haggard CGI, but not too terrible. I think Dave, you also sort of reflect that sentiment that you can see what they are. It's just if you look at when they do up close shots of them, why do they have little human faces almost? Like they look really, really weird.
They're almost too expressive.
Yeah.
And I get that they're evil or crazy monkeys from the Jumanji jungle dimension or whatever, but like to ride motorcycles and they smoke and drink or whatever they do, but
they know how to use every appliance in the kitchen.
They feel like those worm guys in Men in Black who are making all the coffee and whatever else.
Yeah, it's like a mixture between those and like Gremlins from the Gremlins movies.
Yeah, the Gremlins, they're messing around. Yeah, they're mischievous, these monkeys. And, and so that CGI is okay, but it's you when you watch it now, you're like, okay. Like
I think for me it's just like it gets a pass. Like I'm not gonna think too much about it, right? Like it doesn't bug me.
It's not bug me, it's you can't help but notice.
It's obvious. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, to say it doesn't take me out of it, I guess. Like it's selling what it's meant to sell to me, and I'm buying it.
Oh, sure. And the whole thing's magic, so it kind of fits within that vibe of magic.
That's how they look in the Jumanji verse. Everything looks like a crappy rendered CGI image. Exactly. I mean, I'm glad they didn't do puppets and CGI for the monkeys, but because I don't think it would have worked. But I did like that they used a big wild looking puppet for the lion and like
like the lion looks stylized even a little bit.
It looks almost like a cartoon show. Like it's almost like they sort of they stylized everything in a weird.
It looks like it looks like gigantic. This lion,
they installed into that bed when they show the shot of it on the bed.
It looks like more like Battle Cat from He-Man. Like put a saddle on him and ride around.
Lions are very big, guys. Like a lion's head is like the size of your torso.
Well, okay, fair enough. I've never really seen one in person.
Yeah, they're big. They're very big.
The
tigers too.
The monkeys escape. They realize they have to finish the game, so the animals will go away. Next is the lion. It's practical and CGI in certain parts. And Robin Williams also pops out of the game dressed like a jungle man, and he tricks the lion into a room. Now, Robin Williams' outfit when he comes out always stuck with me too, because he's wearing like a palm tree frond hat, and also like a turtle shell back, and also like caveman attire. And I don't know why this stuck with me, but anytime in like Japanese RPGs specifically, whenever somebody's like from the jungle, they have this sort of look. So this must have been a thing in books or something of the era from like the 1800s or the early 1900s. So I really liked it. I thought he looked great. He's got a giant wild man beard, and there he is.
Look at those banana leaves.
Yeah,
he's got banana leaves.
He does a lot with the eyes, and just like that, vibe that he brings, into it.
He looks crazy, and then he gets clothes, and then he just looks like an unhoused. But he does get clothes from an unhoused, right? Like that guy's smart. That man, that homeless man, he's he's taken up residence in the old shoe factory in the office, and he's living a really cozy looking life up there.
Yeah.
What happened to that homeless man in the alternate timeline though? Once they fixed,
He
everything?
became the manager of the factory.
He's
He
the manager
became
of
the
the
mayor.
factory now.
Yeah,
That's
he's still
right.
in
Him
that
and his
office.
dog are still
Yeah.
there, but it's very different.
He's
I wonder if
"All
there's
right."
like an alternate plot storyline where that's David Allen Greer, and he ended up homeless and living in the parish factory.
But no, because the shoe factory didn't go out of business in once Robin Williams.
Oh
changes
yeah,
things,
right.
right. It's a thriving business. They're making all the sneakers. Like they beat Nike to the game. Like they're probably like the biggest brand in the world. In this,
We'd all be
pair
wearing
of shoes.
peas right now. Yeah, we call them peas.
Get a pair of peas.
Get a pair of peas. Get your peas on.
Get your parish pumps.
Yeah,
Parish pumps.
the pea pumps.
After after all that's done, he finds the kids in that funny scene where he opens the door and he goes, "Yeah," which I always laugh at. And he goes into a room, he finds a bike and all of his old stuff, and he laughs. He laughs when he asks if someone rolled a 5 or an 8. Then he runs around and tries to find his parents, but the kids reveal the house has been empty for years. And then over to David Allen Greer, who's a cop now, and monkeys steal his car immediately and blow the roof off with a shotgun, the shotgun that's holstered between the seats. And Alan runs off into public to find his parents. And we go over to the shoe factory, and that's what you were just saying. It's run down and abandoned. The whole town is messed up in a very Back to the Future kind of a way, where the town is just like unhoused people living in the park. Everything looks disheveled. Looks like there's a bunch of urban renewal that needs to happen because there's a lot of storefronts that are all old and decrepit.
The best is he finds the old man. What happened to a pair of shoes? Oh, just about everything that happened to in this whole town here. It just kind of dried up, you know.
After old man Paris is
Old man Parrish. There were no jobs. Still working the factory to making the shoes anymore.
Lost
See,
his goddamn mind after his son disappeared.
right? And then they eventually find out that he's been dead for 4 years, and the wife, like his mother too. Like they both died within a few months of each other.
Yeah, and then in the reality they're alive, which is nice because I guess if you're living that depressive lifestyle, you're not going to live as long.
If you're the king of a sneaker empire, like pair of shoes,
You live forever. Yeah.
Yeah.
You do what that billionaire does. You inject yourself.
Brantford, New
with,
Hampshire is on the map now.
Yeah.
It's very
Parrish.
well known.
Old man Parrish is injecting himself with teenagers' blood to keep himself young.
Yeah.
From the Jumanji.
I do like
But they
this
do-
scene though. It opens up your mind to the world. It shows you that this is a grim shadow of the reality of disappearing for this long, and you're basically going through a time warp almost, right? Where it's like you're taken away and you come back and you expect everything to be exactly the same, and it's horrifying and depressing.
Exactly.
Once again, one of the themes of this movie, loss. He loses everything in a second. After having to fight for his life for 24 years, he comes back and everything is taken from a second time.
They also bond over having dead parents, which I thought was kind of sweet. They kind of have a similar sort of
there's
path
a
that
kinship.
they've-
There's a kinship that's formed there in that moment, and he realizes like I don't have anybody, so I guess these kids are the people that I have to be with now, and we have to finish this game.
I think it's also interesting that they make this deliberate choice to make him from 1969, so it's 26 years, not 25 years, because I think that even if because 25 years clean would just been 1970, right? And it's not like the world was drastically different in 1970 and 1969, but I think just the nostalgia of the 90s for the 1960s was so huge, and I think that the idea that that's the world that Alan and Sarah come from is this more idealistic version of the 60s.
Yeah.
And if you make them from, it's just weird. If you make them from 1970, then you lose that a bit.
And everybody would be wearing bell bottoms. And they'd be like, "Ugh."
And they'd be depressed about the energy crisis,
right
and inflation.
in the beginning of the Cold War.
It is sort of like how decades yearn for. They have a nostalgia for things they weren't a part of. Where it's like like when 10 years ago or whatever, everybody was obsessed with the 80s, right? Like everything was 80s culture, things like Stranger Things and stuff like every TV show and movie was like, let's try and recreate E.T., the vibe of E.T. in everything.
30-year cycle. So it's always like whatever was 30 years ago is like the big thing now.
Yeah.
Usually.
Yeah.
Soon people are going to be yearning for 2002. Remember
Yeah.
2002?
I feel like we're like there. I feel like early 2000s culture is coming back around. It's gonna be fucked up when we're like 50 and everybody's like those 2010s.
Oh,
Those 2010s.
Remember those 10s? Oh, well, yeah, they'll be broken up into, I guess, before Trump and after Trump.
Yeah. BT and AT and BT.
Yeah.
Right. So suddenly an
It's gonna be
alien
called the Great
smashes-
Depression. That's what the era is
Yeah.
gonna be called.
Well, we're going into a real depression, so but suddenly an ambulance hits a car. It's the realtor, and they take the car, and I guess Alan never learned how to drive because I kept being like, is he mentally still like a 12-year-old, or I guess he lived in this jungle.
He just hasn't he didn't have any socialization, so yeah, he would still be, he's a man, but like
he's still a man.
Yeah.
But he didn't have any influence from any other humans
other than the one hunting him. Yeah.
Yeah. Who's just his dad also.
I think in the cartoon there are other humans in there, like tribes and stuff that he can interact with.
Okay.
And then in the new movies, there's like whole societies that exist inside Jumanji. But I like the mystery of it being that he's all alone for 26 years. That's far more frightening.
Yeah. But he has to sharpen his skills because of that. But the mosquitoes come back, and he presses a bunch of buttons and ends up opening the convertible, trying to get away. Over to the house. They show Alan the game, and he refuses to play it. He's like, I'm not going to do that. Alan cleans up. He removes his beard. We get that little time lapse of them waiting for him. Pete uses like a reverse psychology thing where he's like, you're afraid, and this activates Alan into being like, I'm not afraid. We're going to beat this game. Everything's going to be great. And they resume the game. They realize it's the same game from 1969 at this moment, and they need to find Sarah Whittle because it was her turn next. They go to roll the dice, and nothing happens. So they're like, well, there was another person playing this game, so we have to find Sarah, and hopefully that'll do it. So they go to her house, the house that she grew up in, but this is the house of a psychic named Serena now, but it is, of course, grown-up Sarah
Lady
Whittle.
Serena.
Lady
Serena is
Serena.
not taking any appointments today. She has a migraine, and she is she is very much like, it's kind of fun because it's not like a stereotypical version of like a psychic. It's sort of like very much like a white woman from the 90s who's like appropriated this sort of like persona.
She's like, I read the horoscope. I know what's up.
Yeah. Like, don't mind him, honey. He's a Libra. Like she'll just say shit like that throughout the movie. You're like, okay, I don't know what that
basically means. Yeah, that's like compared to like I guess the Whoopi Goldberg's character in Ghost, Autumn May there, or whatever, who's like supposed to be like a similar kind of a psychic, but
no, this woman reads tarot cards and has a crystal ball, but has no idea how to use any of it. Even like the way that psychics can like manipulate a room to like make you think that you're actually, or they go and like, do recon on you to be able to tell your future and that kind of stuff, or use those tricks. This woman literally will do tarot cards poorly, but she's mostly like this because
we don't know that she could be good at it. Where's this evidence? Where's the evidence that she's a bad psychic?
I don't know, the white woman part probably.
Oh,
but
not the fact that psychics aren't real. It's not a real fucking thing,
right? Yeah, right. But we do once she realizes that the only way it couldn't be Alan is if he didn't know all this stuff about her. She just faints. She just passes out.
It's a good gag.
And it's a good gag. Yeah,
she does a good faint. I love a good faint when like the person's eyes glaze and you don't really see the fall coming, but then she just like goes out of frame, like almost like disappears, and you hear the noise.
Yeah,
so good.
And you killed her. Like, one of the kids says that.
The fall's better.
The fall's better, but I do like the little moment at the end of the scene there. So she's been in therapy for years, and they reveal the game to her, and she freaks out. They give her the dice.
Well, we
and...
cut to them in their house, and she's on the phone, like leaving a message to her therapist, which is pretty funny. She is sort of like, she is a stereotype to a degree, but it's like not the one you expect. And the fact that she just keeps referencing therapy and psychic stuff and like planets being in retrograde and things like that throughout the movie.
She says things like that, but then she'll say things like, you know, he's like kind of got like this toxic, sort of hostility or whatever. And like things like that seem at the time, I guess in the 90s, to be kind of out there sort of liberal stuff. But by today's standard, it doesn't seem that wild either. I was kind of picking up on a couple lines that she has when they're establishing this new version of her, I guess, and like who she is now in the 90s. Anyway,
I liked the little trick that Alan does to get her to roll the dice. And she's like, I refuse to roll these dice. And he's like, well, just hand them back to me. And he just goes, whoop. And she rolls the dice.
Yeah. It's a sneaky move. I wait for it every time.
She deserves it. She deserves everything that happens to her now. So, I'm fine with it. Like, come on, everyone knows that's what he was doing.
Right, I agree. And next is vines. The vines come out, and we find out that they shoot poisonous barbs, and that's the colorful flowers. But the yellow flowers will eat you. And I thought that in this whole sequence, we see both things happen. I think the barbs shoot but don't hit anything. But the yellow flower comes out of the fireplace, and it kind of looks like the Little Shop of Horrors flower.
Yeah,
which I thought was good.
But
it doesn't sing, but it's big. It's big and beautiful looking.
And he gets it with the sword, right?
Yeah, he pulls a sword off of like the mantle piece of the fire pit, and it's a rusty old sword, but it does the job. He cuts the vine, and it's gooey and gross, and I love it. And it zips back up inside the flower, and like it's weirdly gross. I find a lot of like floral organic stuff disturbing. I don't know why. Like when I cut open a red pepper, when I look at the seeds inside, it grosses me out. I'm like, I hate this so fucking much.
It's because it's very like, I don't want to like be gross, right? But it's very like human nature sort of emulates things in the flower world a lot. I'm not going to get too far into it, but I know
where you're going with this.
They look like weird, like gross body parts a little bit.
Yes, it's because I look at it and I can see how it grew. Like I'm like, I can see how it expanded from here and plumed from there. Like, don't get me started on mushrooms; they gross me out.
So like, if something's time lapse, that really gets you.
Oh my god! Yeah, don't make me think about it. I think the kids these days call it the ick. And I'll tell you right now, I got the ick for that.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Always fascinated by these kinds of.
I'm fascinated by it too. Like I like.
I wouldn't call it a
phobia
so much as I would call it like I just look at it and I go, ugh, ugh.
But like when they do like Venus flyplant like style flowers in movies, like like this, it really reminds me of like human body parts, like human reproductive body parts a lot.
Oh, I see. Now I understand what you're talking about.
I didn't want to be gross for once, I didn't want to just
I didn't know what you meant. I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
Okay, my bad. I'm sorry. But yes, you guys were right. He does pull a sword, and he like doesn't really know how to use it. He like swings it back, and the sheath goes
up when he pulls it up.
Yeah.
Cut over to David Allen Greer finding his car, and then back over to us. Us is the main movie. They play the next move. They all agree to play to the end, and they do like a handshake, like fist bump. All hands in on a fist. Don't know what to call that. What's that even called? The next role is Alan, and who comes out of the game but the hunter Van Pelt. He hunts people.
Come back here.
You don't hunt people, Charlie. And
that gun that he has is crazy. It's like explosive rounds. It's like an elephant gun.
It's like an explosive blunderbuss.
Van Pelt, man, he's a force in this movie. I guess he's like the main villain. I think when they're sucking all the Jumanji in at the end, and like I'm like, oh, Van Pelt's gone, but then you see his head like get stuck at the end.
And he's like,
of the thing. I was like, oh, I guess they just wanted to really drive home that he was like the big bad of the movie.
Yeah.
And this is where he comes in, you know, and he's
what an
he's
entrance.
comical but scary, and he's only trying to get Robin Williams. He's not trying to get like. It, you know, like when Sarah called the bats, it wasn't like the bats didn't go after Alan, right? Like, you know, normally these things seem to go after everybody who's you know, in the path of it.
I think that everything else just kind of exists, right? Like the stampede, it comes to where you are, but then it keeps going, and then it just runs off into wherever. And like the lion tried to kill them for a couple seconds, and then it just went into the bedroom and took a nap for the rest of the movie. You know?
Yeah. The monkeys leave pretty fast.
Yeah,
the vines eventually expand away.
The things are there that can hurt you and will kill you if they given the opportunity, but they're not hunting you. Where this guy is like, my only purpose is to find him and kill him. Where is he?
Where's the coward?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Stand and face me while I shoot you with this elephant gun.
Come back here, you coward! And he's like shooting down the hallway, and like it's so good. And when he runs out of ammunition and has to buy a new gun, it's I think probably the best moment in the entire movie. I guess we'll wait till we get to it, but
right, it's coming up, and he basically just gets like an AR-15 with like all the bells and whistles. But at this point,
it's like a combat shotgun. It's fucking crazy. It has like an advanced scope on it. It has a silencer on it. Remember when he's like shooting at him while he's being arrested, and you can like see the like the bullets hitting the ground behind his head. I'm like, this is dark. This is wild.
I wanted to mention about the series of Carl, the David Alan Grier's character, getting his car destroyed. Really reminded me of, I think it's Lethal Weapon 2, where not Murtaugh, the other guy, Riggs gets no, is it Murtaugh? Anyway, Danny Glover gets a brand new car at the beginning of the movie, and one of the jokes of the movie is it like keeps getting destroyed more and more throughout the film. And I thought that this might have been paying homage to that a little bit, but I really enjoyed that. Like every time he gets his car back, something horrible happens to it, and during all of this, it's just getting wrecked, and.
Yeah, David Alan Grier, man, he makes some quite the faces in this movie.
He's so good. He's so good.
A lot of face acting going on. But I mean, I do like his introduction. How he's just kind of like cruising down the street, and then fucking Alan Parrish dressed as a fucking jungle man leaps onto his car like a standing leap, just goes vertical leap right onto the hood. And he's like, "Get off my car! What are you doing? Do you have any ID? Let me guess. It's in your other loin cloth."
he looks like they tried to make him younger in 1969, and I guess they gave him a mustache and gave him a little gray hair, but he's kind of basically this, you know, looks exactly the same. Whereas obviously Robin Williams looks very different than his younger self.
True. In 1995, David Alan Grier would have been like pretty young, so they had to like age him up 26 years. But you're right, he just looks the same with a little bit of gray. I love David Alan Grier because he's still working. I just recently finished the first season of the show St. Denis Medical, and he plays like a kind of a jaded doctor on that, and he's still so good. He's such a good comedic actor. I loved In Living Color around this time. He was probably on that show. Like I think that show was still running at this point. And he was fantastic. It's a good pedigree coming from comedy like that, because he would have worked directly with the Wayans, Jim Carrey, and all the other people that were on that show.
Yeah, he gets teamed up here with Lilith from Cheers or whatever, and like they have a pretty good chemistry in this movie as well. Like,
they have their
agreed.
own side story happening.
They want a whole spin-off, I think. You know, that's what
a buddy cop where it's just those two fighting Jumanji crimes.
Yes, just dealing with Jumanji, like Jumanji busters here, and they catch the monkeys, and they go across town and get the spiders. Whatever.
There's an episode where they battle a mosquito.
Yeah,
they arrest a tentacle.
Writes itself.
With the handcuffs on the tentacle, and like, you're going downtown for snapping my car in half.
Still, you can make this happen. I think they're still available. David Alan Grier and B.B. Newirth.
They're around. They're still working, I'm sure. Well, I know David Allen Greer's. So Alan sneaks, like he leaves the house and sneaks back in to get rid of Van Pelt, and it's Judy's turn. Alan and Sarah argue about Van Pelt and why, she had her problems during her life. So while they're arguing about all the stuff that's happened over the last 26 years, Judy rolls, and the next thing is the stampede, which I think, in my opinion, is one of the more iconic things from this movie. I think it was in the trailer. I remember this very vividly. It's one of the most prolific things from the movie that I remember. And the CGI is actually pretty decent.
It's okay if you don't look too close.
True. I agree. It's
And the
about
other
as
thing-
good as the CGI in the rest of the movie. I think the best CGI is the tentacles. It's because it's not as complicated and the movement
And it doesn't need to. You can't compare it to anything because it's just
Exactly.
like vines don't really do that, right? Or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
You don't have a direct reference to an actual vine crawling across the ground.
Versus like, does that look like a real rhino or not?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's good. It is the selling point. I remember it in the trailer. Like the trailer was basically just Robin Williams going up to the bookcase and seeing the rumbling, trying to sort of emulate the glass of water in Jurassic Park. Only it's
Right.
a rattling bookcase. But it's fun. It's always fun to see them like running through the town, and then there's like that one overweight rhino that can't
That
quite
just, like,
keep up with
struggles.
yeah.
And also it introduces a new sort of ripple to what the game is. And I wouldn't say this is like a theory, but it's more so, I think what I learned about watching it through the lens of being an adult and being able to see like the more of the grand scheme is the game produces a horrible thing, and then the thing tries to take the game from you. So the section you're playing, much like a board game, is you have to get the game back. You have to get it back. And this happens with each part going forward. So the pelican steals it, they go out to the river, they find it, they get the thing back. Later in the movie, the earthquake happens, it falls down, they get it back. Van Pelt's trying to take the board game at the part where they're at the discount shop. And I think that is the game of it all. That's what you're supposed to be doing. I don't know why it didn't really press that up till this point, which I kind of like goes against what I'm saying a little bit. But from here on out, it is very much a horrible thing happens. Whatever the thing that is happening takes the game away, so you can't play it anymore.
I'm going to go ahead and call that
okay. Thank
there's
you.
enough evidence to support it, but I think that there's enough evidence that you're making a case for it.
Yeah, no, okay.
It all
Okay.
seems very circumstantial to me, other than the pelican just being a dick. The pelican's like, "Wah." Because when Van Pelt steals it, he's doing it to lure Alan, right? He's using it as a trap. He's like, I know that if I have the board, he'll come for it. But I mean, yeah, it does. That board game goes through a lot. It goes on a white river rafting adventure.
But they know they can't lose it, I guess, because they know they need to win, right?
Yeah.
Well, what happens if the board game like explodes? Like, what if it happens if it gets
Oh,
smashed?
it's indestructible. It's
to
magical.
I don't think you can. I don't think it would allow itself to be destroyed. It's
like the one.
That's a good
ring.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to throw it into the mountains of Mount Doom or whatever at the heart of Jumanji, the actual jungle. The only way to destroy the board is to take the board into the jungle that's inside the board. So it's paradoxical. You can't actually do it.
You have to cleanse it in the waters of Lake Minnetonka.
Yeah. Somehow gets sucked into itself
Yeah.
and disappears like the house in The Simpsons at the end of that one.
Well, at the end of this one, they just throw it in the lake or something, right? Or the ocean.
Yeah, they tie a bunch of cinder blocks to it and huck it off the bridge. And then
not
it
a
ends
good
up in
one.
France or whatever.
They don't try to blow it up or anything like that. Like,
I think burying it under the earth in the 1800s is the best way to go, but they don't know about excavation tactics in the future.
Yeah, I think they assumed it would stay sunk, but we all know that nothing stays sunk, not these days.
no,
Yeah.
the kids will hear the drums.
Yeah. And then we have our French people at the end like, qu'est-ce que c'est?
I was like, French Jumanji might be fun. Okay,
I
let's
would
go.
have preferred that to what we got.
Sacre bleu.
Oh.
Van Pelt.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Steve-
Antifreeze in the wine. Oh.
Another Simpsons reference. Let's go. There's a Simpsons. Homer yells Jumanji in The Simpsons as well. So it's
I'm sure
Yes, he does.
it's intertwined. Steve, tell us about the scene where Van Pelt goes and gets that gun, because you started to tell us, but we had to.
Oh, it's just good. So he runs out of ammunition. He's like, damn. And then the next scene, it cuts to him like outside of a gun shop, which, the movie is set in America, so I guess there's gun shops everywhere. It's very easy to find one. But he goes in and he's like, I require ammunition. And he like puts his gun on the counter, and the guy's like, well, they haven't made ammo for this in over 100 years.
It's like they stopped making these in 1907.
Yeah, it's crazy. And the guy's kind of got this like smarmy sarcasm to him, which is like the clerk. And he's like, damn, and I shall have to purchase a new firearm. And he's like, okay, that you're just gonna need to fill out this paperwork. And he just puts a handful of gold doubloons on the counter, like.
He's like, yep, okay, great.
It was interesting, like Jason, you brought up that the Terminator earlier, and like because there's that whole scene where he buys the Terminator buys all the guns. He's like, oh, it's gonna be like the waiting period, but then he just kills the gun store owner.
Just blasts the guy.
And in this, like he just drops these gold coins, and he gets like this insane, like machine gun automatic weapon.
It looks like
all
it's
the
like
waiting
a
periods
combat.
are it's a very bad message to kids in this family movie.
You
You
have to have a sack full of gold though to do it.
If you have a sack, hey kids, if you have any gold coins at home, if your parents are hiding any of those somewhere, get those, and you can get yourself your hands on a gun.
A gun that looks like it's used for like taking down elephants or something, like a modern day equivalent.
It looks like you for Terminators, you want to use it against like the T-1000 or something like that. Like,
He's
it's
just
a
running
serious
around.
military weapon. It's not like a hunting rifle by any means.
You definitely should not have that at that local gun shop. But he also like nods to the other worker there, and they like close the store. He pulls it out, and then he's like,
I'll fill out your paperwork for you.
Yeah, he's like, maybe I can fill that out. And he's like, you're not a postal worker, are you?
Yeah.
Like his only
Which was the joke style at from there. It's also a gun that like doesn't exist. I'm pretty, because I was like, is it a rock? Is it a grenade launcher, or is it like, why does it
looks
have
like
giant...
it looks like 10 different guns at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like a combat shotgun.
This round magazine it has is the most confusing part for me, but I don't know where.
But it also seems to have lock-on technology.
The joke is supposed to be like the gun is ridiculously high tech, and then his appearance is like that of somebody out of sort of like a fanciful depiction of a safari adventure man from like
like Heart of Darkness or something like that.
Yeah,
like he's Kurtz
with his pip hat and his big poofy pants and his high kneed boots,
his like mustache that curls.
Yeah.
So he leaves. The other crew, us, as I keep saying, they hunt the bird. They go down to like a stream or like a river sort of thing. And then we also see Van Pelt going back to the house with the assault rifle. Pelt is on the hunt. The gamers are on the move, and the cop sees them. And that's that scene where they're getting arrested, and Alan is just like, okay, just let me get arrested, because they're seeing the bullets. Like, so it's also, like you said, Steve, it's got a silencer on it, and it's a sniper rifle, which this is a James Bond weapon.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think it's supposed to have that like goofy comical contrast, right? Where he's like, this fucking guy is using night vision during the day, mind you, like shooting with it.
You still can't get him.
You still can't get him. I think he's a bad hunter. I think he's just there to put fear in you, and he's never actually meant to kill you. He's just meant to put the fear of God in you and make you run.
One of my favorite lines is from Robin Williams. He's just like, because Sarah goes, "Why does he want to kill you?" or whatever. He goes, "Why? I don't know. Everything about he finds offensive. You'd think it'd be a huge waste of his time." I don't know why that's always stuck. Like, he finds me offensive. You think it'd be a huge waste of his time, but no, here we are.
Yeah. Can you guys explain to me? This always confused me as a kid, and also watching it again, it's still like is weird. So while this is all happening with Carl and the police stuff, Pete, I guess, is off to the side trying to like draw. They need 12 to like finish the game, and he's
Yeah.
trying to like he tries to drop the dice so they land on 12, but like, do they not, or does the game know he was trying to cheat and that's why he gets turned into a monkey? I never understood.
The game knows. The game
it's
knows
both.
he's trying to. The game knows that he's monkeying around, and that's why it turns him into a fucking monkey.
Yeah, it's interesting because the only example we see where the game punishes a specific player for something, right? So
Yeah. It's funny because like I can't remember what the exact rhyme is, but she's like, "You tried to cheat," and he's like, "No, I tried to drop the dice so they would land on 12." And he's like, "Oh, well, honey,
that
that's
would
cheating."
be cheating.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, that's a good one.
And then also, did you guys notice when Pete he grabs the game that's like coming down the river and he hangs off that like log almost like a monkey? Was that like done on purpose because he did that little move? I've been thinking about this also for 35 years.
I think that maybe, but I think he turns into a monkey literally because he's monkeying around with the rules. So
Okay.
like, because you're
Steve-
monkeying around, you turn it into a monkey.
I think Steven's correct on this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Dave.
It just happenstance that like 4 minutes ago he hung upside down like a monkey. Interesting. Just a random comedy shot of the monkeys wreaking havoc. The town is in disarray. They're losing their mind and looting because the
You're
monkeys
watching
are-
The Wizard of Oz. They're like,
Yeah.
they go inside
Yeah.
the store with The Wizard of Oz on it, and they just fuck up the entire electronics store. It's so funny.
malevolent
This movie's
monkeys.
good, guys. This movie's
It's great.
good.
It's fun to talk about. It's easy to follow, which sometimes my notes are like, what am I? Anyway, Alan and Carl discuss the shoe factory and the shoe he invented. And this is when he's like, it's me, Alan. And Carl slams on the brakes and they have that moment where he realizes that like, what, this magical thing that has happened is happening. Anything to add there? I thought that was kind of a pivotal moment, but I think that's pretty much just what happens.
Yeah, it is a pivotal moment. Like when he slams on the brakes and he's like, "What? It's you!" But then, and this is when he lets Robin Williams go because he's like, now he's believes him and he's on his side and they're working together. I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he does the old mind fuck of like, it's me, Alan, and like he's like, "Bah!"
And apologizes for getting him fired, right, from his father.
Yeah. He calls, he's like, they used to call you the Soul Man. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, I guess did they call him the Soul Man because he put the souls on the shoes, or did they call him the Soul Man because he designed the shoes? I couldn't,
Because
wasn't
he
sure if
stole
was-
people's souls and put them into the shoes.
Oh, something
Probably
I
'cause
never
he just-
considered.
I always thought it was probably like he was either like a singer or that was the kind of music he listened to or something like that.
Oh, I thought it had to do with shoes because he works at a shoe factory.
It
They
makes
call him the
sense.
Soul
Like when
Man.
you said that, like they
Oh, the
like,
SOLE
SOLE
man.
man. They called him the Soul Man. And
Yeah.
I was like, well, maybe he did work at a shoe factory, but
I
would
always
they
think of
all
it
be
too
soul men?
late. Yeah, I always think of it too late because I'll be watching the movie and then we'll get through the shoe factory part. But I always mean to when I'm watching the scene of what he's actually doing in the factory. Because if he's putting the soles on the shoes, then it would make sense that they call him the Soul Man. Like, hey, the
He
Soul Man over
does.
there.
You
Yeah.
know, in my head canon now, he was the Soul Man, SOLE man.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not the only one.
And he really liked The Rock's dad, Soul Man Rocky Johnson. Also,
Right.
that's
was
my
true.
head canon.
That was his guy.
That was the
in be-
biggest wrestler of 1990.
Even though he wasn't wrestling. Was he wrestling in '69? I guess he could have been, right?
He was probably a young wrestler. Rocky Johnson wrestled through the 70s mostly, so maybe
He was in the amateur circuit in Brantford.
Was he for
in
Nova Scotia
1960.
originally or something?
There are I don't know if he might be from New Brunswick originally.
Oh yeah.
I'll look that up. In between the part where it's revealed that he is the Alan and the scene that we just talked about, Van Pelt steals the game from the gamers and the town is freaking out, as I mentioned. Pete is now slowly turning into a monkey and the stampede hits town square. I wrote a note asking the question of the last theory about like, do all the units that come out of the game destroy / try to steal it? We talked about that. Who made this game and why was it created? We also talked about that. So just to fast forward a little bit more, Alan convinces the cop to let him go, handcuffs him to his car, and they actually as Alan walks away, they hear over the radio that the town is being kind of attacked by everything, and they head downtown. Van Pelt is now hunting the gamers as they try to escape.
It's very funny to me that as soon as what is his character's name? The Soul Man, Bentley. Officer Bentley lets him go. He immediately handcuffs him to the door, and then within seconds has to get back in the car with him and drive the car.
Oh, not only that, but Robin Williams threw the keys away. But he could have got them before he got in the car.
You know how long it would take him to find the keys in that fucking cornfield? He would never find those keys.
Like it was just like this Alan Parrish does not have his shit together. His dad
He's
was
12.
He needed to go to that school. He needed to go to the Parrish boys' school and learn something.
You're right.
Just a quick side note, I looked it up as well. World Mind is right. He's from Amherst, Nova Scotia. So, yep, you're right.
Rocky Johnson, yes.
Rocky Johnson, father of the Rock. Sorry, as we were.
No, we were just talking about how funny it is that he has to get back in the car and drive with David Allen Greer's arm over his shoulder, basically.
And David Allen Greer is not even that upset with him. Really, about the whole thing. He's like, I get it. I guess, you're a Jumanji man and you were just trying to protect me from all the Jumanji of it all. Yeah. But now you need my car, so they have to go to the hardware store, right? And
I can't remember how does he get his handcuffs off? I can't remember.
He has to saw it off. He goes to the hardware store and he gets a saw and figures that part out. But yeah,
luckily they're also at the big box store fighting Van Pelt in the. It's kind of like a big box, right? Where there's everything you could possibly want for a Home Alone inspired takedown of an enemy.
Yeah, basically. It's like a Walmart or something.
Well, that's what I thought too. I thought it was, but they keep saying discount store. So it's almost like it's a liquidation store.
It's just a store that has everything. It's one of those. It's basically a Walmart, but they didn't want to say Walmart.
It's Jingle All the Way store.
Yes.
I was watching the finale of The Last of Us last night, and they're in a little section where there's a Costco sign, and for some reason the Costco sign is untouched, it's not lit up, but it has basically no damage to it, and it was the weirdest product placement I think I've ever seen in anything.
Why would everything it be damaged?
Well, everything else in the whole world is all fucked.
It's like zombie apocalypse 20 years later, right?
So high up.
More messed up than it should be a lot of times, though.
I guess
this sign was perfectly legible.
Because you got to imagine that they don't clean Costco signs on a weekly basis or anything. It probably sits up there for 30 years before anybody ever goes up there and scrubs it down.
Yeah, it was more that they made a point of just making look, their base is an old Costco. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, there was no other product placement in the whole show. It felt.
I wrote a zombie story when I was in high school, and that was the whole premise, was that a bunch of people go hold up in a Costco because I'm like, it has everything you need. That's where you go. For a while, yeah.
How long did they survive? I'm curious about this now, because that's a really good premise.
In the story, they are overwhelmed by the zombies and have to leave eventually.
Oh, okay.
They're there for a while.
I get so mad in the Dawn of the Dead remake when Ving Rhames was like, "There's better things than sitting here waiting to die." I'm like, "Is there?
What? Yeah.
Going to your zombie island? That's gonna be better."
Let's get on a boat.
And everyone gets killed on the way? No, I
think almost everybody, yeah. And then the island they get to has also got zombies on it. And the post-credit scene is well, that was pointless. We should have stayed in the mall.
Better off in the mall.
Yeah, of course. I wrote a note here that says, "Monkey with a handgun will never not be funny." I love a monkey with a handgun. Mm-hmm. That's great.
Monkeys with guns.
And I also love when somebody puts green detergent on the floor and they're slipping and sliding all around it. And then somebody builds a Home Alone style trap, and it's a boat. It's like a canoe with some, I guess they're
it's a scuba diving tank.
Scuba diver tank, and they shoot the boat with the scuba diver tank into a man.
He creates somehow within seconds a mechanism that can he uses weights to smash down on top of the compressed air to shoot the canoe at him, which then just sends him across the room.
This is post Home Alone. This is Peter now with monkey powers.
This is true.
He can now create all kinds of things.
I forgot that he has monkey powers. It gives him abilities that regular humans don't possess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I forgot
like,
that he has monkey power.
He thinks in the equations that allow him to like break down items to their most basic levels.
I don't think I could have jerried a canoe to shoot a Van Pelt across the department store.
Yeah, even if I had an hour of prep time, I don't think I could achieve that.
But if I had monkey powers, I could.
Monkey powers, you can do that in 30 seconds.
Yeah, I have a tail. I could multitask.
Yeah, monkeys are smart. Guys, technically we are monkeys.
Technically.
Apes, actually.
We're a type of ape. So yeah, I mean it's mostly just fun physical, like they wanted to have a physical comedy bit, I guess, and I think it works. It's fun, and then all of the paint cans that land on him, and then for the rest of the movie he's covered in colorful paint.
The fact that he comes back from that paint can thing is kind of impressive, because a car crashes through the front of the department store, hits the shelving, hits Van Pelt with all these paint cans, and I guess it's like Home Alone logic where the bad guy can survive.
He's immortal.
He's immortal.
Yeah, he's Super Shredder. That's exactly the point that we're at. Carl and Alan arrive to the store. They're speeding, and the brakes are cut. They smash into the store. Chaos is just reigning supreme.
It's also like, how did that brake line get cut? Do the monkeys do that? They're just
I
going
think
around
so.
cutting
I
brake
think it's
lines?
implied, but we never. I don't think see them do it.
They're
No.
gremlins, right? Like those monkeys are gremlins. The aunt hears about the stuff happening in town on the radio, and she just sees the stampede go by, and a monkey in the back seat makes her cry.
Yeah, she's listening to like a self-help tape.
Yeah.
And so she's like oblivious about what's been happening in the town all day. Basically.
It's such a funny bit because she's not only is she listening to a self-help tape, but she's mouthing along the words to every word like she's listened to it 100 times, and it's not even the first tape in the set of tapes. It's the third one. End of tape 3.
Like it's a weird takedown of like therapy and self-help in this film. It's like they keep
a couple
it
jabs
like...
from the Sarah's character, now from the aunt, right? That's kind of hippie stuff.
The writer of this movie didn't believe in therapy.
No,
only crackpots and weirdos.
Is he a Scientologist?
I think that therapy could have helped both of these women. Honestly, I think therapy could have helped every single person in this movie. Yeah,
I think Alan needs therapy. Definitely,
Alan goes through and then goes through like a time loop situation where he relives his whole life. Anyway, we'll get to that in a moment.
You know that Sarah made him go to therapy after all that.
Yeah,
like, listen, you're going to therapy. You had to fight Van Pelt for 26 years. I think you need it.
The gamers head home. Pete is a full monkey now. Alan gives him a pep talk and about becoming a monkey. But the thing is Pete's crying, not because he's afraid of what's happening, but because his tail is jammed into his pants. So Alan rips a tail hole.
Yes.
Yeah. What is this? Something that was only between boys? Like, is this what was happening here?
Yeah. Is this a reference to?
Because I guess the idea is like, oh, I got something I can't talk to the girls about here, and then so Alan's like, oh, okay, this is like a bonding moment, I suppose, between Peter and Alan.
A man-to-man moment.
A man-to-man moment, but Alan doesn't have a tail. Maybe he got turned into a monkey once while he
might be a
26
euphemism.
years. I don't know. Maybe it wears
Probably.
off.
I don't think it was supposed to be a euphemism for an erection, Jason. Calm the fuck
I think
down.
it was too. I'm kind of with Jason on this. I'm like, I got a monkey boner or something.
I've got a monkey boner.
We got a monkey man's boner. Our view just went up. We got more views now than we have.
People love monkey boners on the internet. What can I tell you? What can I tell you?
Hey, turn that off. Did they say monkey boner?
Oh, this video just got demonetized. They said monkey boner too many
Monkey
times.
boner. That's right.
But
the host.
I mean, maybe it is a euphemism for a monkey boner. I don't know, but I think it's also just a cute, funny moment that is like he has to.
No, I agree.
Release his
the birds,
tail.
the bees, and the monkey boners, and all.
Well,
else.
The fact that he's trying to give him a pep talk about like everything's going to be okay. It's not that big a deal. We'll get you turned back, and he's like, "That's not why I'm crying. It hurts so bad.
My monkey boner.
Because my reverse monkey boner."
Uh-huh.
Yeah, thanks, Jody Simpson.
Jody heard it.
Yeah, that's Jody heard the call. He was just at home, like playing a video game or like reading Reddit or whatever, and just like,
Since someone's talking about monkey boners right now,
say it was a monkey boner? Turn that up.
turn it up.
He was the one originally that you said, turn it up.
Yeah,
That's fantastic. Oh man, I'm laughing hard.
We're in the home stretch here, fellas.
It's true. They get back to the house and it's full jungle. Carl heads out.
It's
There's
so
more
cool.
broken down cop car comedy.
It's like just the fact that it's contained within the house is so cool and interesting. And then the monsoon happening inside the house is also very cool.
Then the alligators show up pretty fast, and
that's true.
You, basically.
So yeah, the hand, we get the super shredder hand thing from Van Pelt showing he's still alive. Classic 90s villain thing. Carl has troubles with the radio and the monkeys. He picks up the aunt, and the vines finish destroying the car. Okay, so Sarah rolls, and they get the monsoon, as you mentioned. They get blasted by water, and now there's a crocodile. I actually pulled a clip. I wanted to show you guys a clip from this because I thought it's a great clip. So here's a clip from this exact scene where they're fighting the crocodile.
Well, that was something. I
think the joke would have landed harder if it was revealed that is in fact Robin Williams playing Popeye.
Well,
it is.
I know, but you need to know that. You need to know that fact.
Oh,
if you don't know that's random.
We all knew.
It's true.
I think
we did know. I've never seen that movie actually.
Yeah, that's the most I've ever watched of Popeye.
I did not know he fought a giant octopus. I kind of want to watch it now.
In the muddiest, weirdest scene, that's what it looks like for like 5 minutes. It's one of my favorite movies of all time in a similar way to Jumanji. I had it on VHS as a kid, and we will eventually. We've talked about doing it on the show. I think we will do it on the show eventually.
That's one of those ones that I refused to believe existed for a long time because I was like, that's not real. Robin Williams never played Popeye.
It's weird that it's Robin Williams in 1981 specifically. Before he's done a lot of other things yet, and
it was pre them making every cartoon show into a live action movie.
Yeah,
right.
It lines up with Nintendo almost using Popeye instead of Mario as their mascot, which was real.
What a world we would live in right now if
there was no
Super
Mario.
Popeye Galaxy.
Super Popeye. Super Popeye Odyssey. I'm kind of into it, actually.
Me too.
The Super Popeye Brothers.
Why does Popeye it's just Bluto, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for indulging me. I really wanted. I was been laughing about that all day. I was like, this reminds me of something. A woman
for the majority of that clip, I was like, why is he playing Popeye? Is it just because of water? I don't understand. And then when Popeye shows up, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot Robin Williams is Popeye. This makes more sense now. I get the.
And it's like the love interest getting taken by the animal, and why does Robin Williams have 2 movies where he fights an animal in water?
Because
anyway,
fighting.
Yeah.
Well, he also has a movie where he makes out with 3 mermaids underwater.
True.
That's
I
weird.
should have played that. I should have played that part, but we've already covered Hook.
That's true.
Which movie's that?
Hook.
Yeah.
Oh, right, Hook.
They're technically breathing into him to let him not drown, but they're making.
But everybody has a boner. It's so weird.
They have a monkey boner. Yeah.
Fish boners.
Fish boners. Gross.
Hey, it's where they have to go.
Yeah. So they do several more quick sequential rolls, and they all are rolling like shit. They all roll 2s and 3s for the next 10 minutes of the movie. So the Jumanji is just spitting out one after another. Monsoon, which comes with crocodiles, I guess. They're part of the monsoon because they didn't roll for crocodiles. They rolled for a rain.
And the game floats away at this point too, which is where I started to be like, interesting.
I think they're just bad at holding on to the game.
Or is the game trying to get away so you can't end the game? Like
that could be it. Yeah, I never really considered that until this discussion, that the game is sentient in its own capacity.
It has some kind of a mind, or some kind of a purpose. Monkey Boner's senses
surviving. It doesn't want everything to go back inside of it. It really just.
She just turned to it, and the first thing she heard was Monkey Boner. Well, you have to go through all the steps to understand how we got there, but it was, and then a million more Monkey Boners. Well, it caught on fast. What do you say?
When we publish the episode, go back, rewatch. It'll all make sense.
Yeah. Actually, pause this live podcast. Go back and watch it from the beginning. There's so many comments.
It's something you can only talk to your dad about, really.
It's true. He'll pull the tail out of your pants.
Or your surrogate father in this case.
Don't like that.
Yeah.
So they do several more sequential rolls, and
all of them, I would say.
They end up in the attic because oh god.
Yeah, he has redundant organs of everything.
That's true.
He has 4 testicles.
Do Klingons have 4 testicles? Oh my god.
We think so.
I didn't know about this.
They
end up in the attic. The spiders show up, which is the worst. The gooey spiders. I think out of all the practical puppets in this movie, the spiders are maybe the least effective to me. Like, they feel very puppety.
They are very puppety, and I don't know, like coming off Arachnophobia, and those other, like a couple of years earlier from this.
I've seen better spiders.
Before we get to that, they climb onto the chandelier. Alan does hop in the water and fights the croc barehanded. Carl and the aunt get there. They kick the door once. It busts open, letting all the water out into the town. Now there's a river in town. They get the name. Alan and Sarah almost kiss, that's the first time that's teased. And they make it up to the attic, and Alan makes a clue joke, which they don't give a fuck about, which I thought was funny. And the next thing that happens,
I think the funny thing about that joke is that he gets very deadpan serious at the end, and then goes clue.
Yeah,
he just thought they didn't get the joke.
It was Professor Mustard in the fucking foyer with the Allen wrench or whatever, and they're like,
he's out of practice with his jokes.
Yeah,
he's just using the same jokes he told when he was 12. He hasn't heard any new jokes. All his new jokes are about monkey boners in the jungle.
This is all he knows. You can't really blame the guy.
And there's kids there, so he's trying to keep it PG.
Because it's like PG movie.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll be discreet about
it. But it is quicksand next. The CGI floor,
the spiders come after that. Yeah, the CGI floor is bad. We talked about it already, but I think it is the most egregious out of all the effects. It's just bad. Like, it's like a weird liquidation effect on wood grain, so it just looks very early.
Until
CGI
once it freezes, it's fine. It
looks great when he's frozen in it. Yeah, when he's
and they're like stuck and
hardened.
Everything else. But get in there, that little transition with it doesn't even really look good for the time.
No, and he's like miming his hands getting stuck in it, and it just doesn't match up. There's one of those things where I'm like, go back and just make it turn into actual quicksand.
It's something you can only do in private with Robin Williams, Heather. It's a long story. You gotta watch the movie. You'll get there. It's better than Hobo with a Shotgun, I promise.
And yeah.
Also, Heather, come on the show. Come on the show. You're invited.
All right, Heather is a great guest.
I've seen Heather do various things of yours, and I didn't know her last name, so I couldn't invite her. Now I do. Now you're trapped.
Exactly.
Fantastic. So yes, you're right. They roll. Judy rolls again. Send back 2 turns. Then Pete rolls. Alan and Sarah are trapped in the floor. Spiders come out. Sorry, we got to the spiders.
He sends Peter to go get an axe, and Peter does a fucking straight on Deadpool look at the camera when he's bashing the shed open with the axe he's been sent to retrieve. Which, when I was a kid, it made me laugh, but now I'm like, it's so so out of place. Like there's no moment in the entire movie of somebody looking straight down the camera lens like that. He just goes full Deadpool. And you're like, whoa.
So I want to ask you guys about this because this is my memory of this part of this movie. When he goes out to the shed, it always seemed sped up, but I realized I only watched this like primarily on television, like it was always on TV, and I think they might have sped this part up for time, because when I watched it today, it just looked like normal time, but in my memory, it's sped up. So did this scene look weird to you guys at all? Because it didn't to me. But I do have this weird memory. Okay,
not to me. But it's not to say you're wrong.
It is a funny gag. I want to tell you a little anecdote about my wife. She has this thing where, because of this movie and the Santa Claus specifically, where she has like almost a phobia of people getting turned into things against their will.
Oh.
And it stems directly from Pete getting turned into a little monkey boy and Tim Allen getting turned into a Santa man. And I can see it. I don't know if I would,
like
we're
that,
gonna get to
like specifically that morph effect, or like just the idea.
No, like the idea of you being transformed into something you are not by magic.
So like all of Beauty and the Beast.
Yep, I think
like,
Beasts would be that as well.
Nightmare. Yeah. No, they all get turned into furniture. The whole fucking household staff.
Yeah.
Everybody in Beauty and the Beast gets turned into something against their will.
Yes.
Including Belle.
It's all horrifying.
A prisoner.
Yeah.
She becomes
a prisoner.
She turns
in
into
a
one.
giant mansion. Castle. Yeah, right. So Aunt and Carl make it back after they get washed away. And he goes to use the house in the woodshed, breaks the fourth wall, as you mentioned, Deadpool style. The aunt discovers so many horrible things while she walks through the house, like the lion that's trapped in the room.
She's doing a sort of a Pratt Folly gag where she's stumbling around the house and everything she sees, she's like, it like stumbles her into the next crazy thing until she finally like sees Peter, and then she like practically faints into the closet, and then he locks her in the closet.
And he locks her in there.
Yeah. Why Peter?
Just as a side note, I wanted to shout out Jody as well. I was actually going to invite Jody on for the first James Bond month. For the UFP crossover, I'm going to invite Jody for the second James Bond month.
World Mind, he's like, Heather's a magnificent guest, and Jody is a charismatic guest as well.
Yeah, so I think we'll try to have Heather and Jody on for the James Bond month to do another UFP crossover. Shout out to the United Federation podcast.
Of course, yes. Well, you guys should come on Live Long sometime.
I'll watch an episode of Star Trek and.
All right.
I watch episodes of Star Trek all the time.
Sometimes it's fun. Like sometimes my dad will come in for an episode he's never seen, and he's like, "It was pretty weird."
So that planet's getting that planet addicted to drugs? This is an interesting allegory.
That's weird.
All right.
Yeah. So
and then the earthquake. It's a speedy amount of Jumanjis that happen. They roll and go ahead.
I was just gonna say they only need 7 left for like a while.
Yeah.
And at this point,
and they're all rolling like shit. They're all getting 2s and 3s.
It's Sarah's turn, but she's like Alan's face is trapped upwards, and she's trapped downwards with her arms in the ground. And so they come up with the plan to put the dice in Sarah's mouth.
About the best gag of the movie when they're trying to pull him out of the sand pit, and they keep giving him stuff that breaks in half. He's like, "Stop giving me things that come apart." Like they give him a trombone and like a conductor's stand.
Yeah, that was a good gag. I like that.
That's some funny stuff.
But
the earthquake happens and the floor breaks apart. Which I'm also like, is this when he sent him to get the axe? Was the intent to cut the floor open, or was the intent to fight the spiders?
To fight the spiders. I think it was to fight the spiders.
I thought it was to get him out of the floor. But I
don't know if I'd like it.
He tries to blow at the spider too, to like shoo it away.
Yeah.
I remember, like, I always remember that from when I was a kid too, being hilarious. Like, I keep almost saying Adam Sandler.
Oh, Adam Sandler and Jumanji would be great.
I think that, yeah, especially how like at this age,
Billy Madison era Jumanji, though. It's a Jumanji. What the hell?
you did his face perfectly there. Oh. Yeah, that's great. But there's this chaotic moment towards the end here where Judy gets shot in the neck with the poison barbs. Pete's fighting the spiders. Sarah rolls. Judy goes down. Earthquake happens. Spiders scurry off. The floor starts to crack. The house breaks in half. And the game falls down onto a ledge. And Alan swings on a vine, narrowly escaping the lion, and is about to roll the final Jumanji when Van Pelt final bosses into the place.
So this is the only thing that I think goes against your theory of that the things in Jumanji that come out of Jumanji are trying to make sure you can't play.
Hello, praise.
The reason I think that is because Van Pelt would know that they have dice to roll, and he would want him to not roll the dice. But he's the one that tells him to drop the dice. Like, drop them now. So
Okay.
it is a direct result of Van Pelt's intervention that basically allows him to roll the dice, right? So I think that kind of removes the idea that everything that comes out is trying to make sure you can't complete the game. Yeah. I think that's my intro theory to your theory.
No, that's understandable. I can see it from that way, but also it seems like Van Pelt isn't kind of like a stupid, like trying, like going on a path to kill Alan, and that's just his primary objective.
Absolutely is. But yeah, I think yeah, he's got tunnel vision basically. He only has one goal, and that goal is to hunt you until you're dead. My question is, what happens once he kills Alan? Does he be like, well, mission accomplished?
He just goes off. He
just goes back into the game, like,
or he just goes into the distance. He goes and starts at a hardware store, starts a shoe factory.
Yeah, welcome to Van Pelt's Shoes. I got the soul dad working for me.
You get a gun with every purchase. Twirls his like evil man mustache.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting choice too. Again, like the same actor who plays his dad to play this Van Pelt, right?
It's very good. Yeah,
it was a very good choice. Yeah.
They do that in a lot of like renditions of like Peter Pan and stuff. Like usually the character who plays Wendy's dad will play Captain Hook, kind of thing. It's just it's a thing they do in certain media that it kind of strengthens the meaning, the theory behind what it is in terms of like what's the theme here. Okay, it's lost, but it's also this estrangement from your father, even though you're living in the same house as him. You're scared of him, literally. He's like a monster to you, and then the monster that he's most terrified of comes out and has his dad's face on it, but he never mentions it. He never says like, you look exactly like my dad, or he doesn't call him dad by accident or something.
To the point that like I probably knew this at one point that they were the same actor, but even today watching it, I'm going, that's the same guy, right? Like, of course it is, right? And then I looked it up, even though I knew it was clearly the same person.
It's like literally the same face.
He's doing a different accent, and he's got
a little bit
hair.
He's got some like lines drawn under his eyes and like his beard,
his face, and I think he's got like grime in his teeth, like toothpaste or whatever. Yeah. But yeah.
Anyway, Jumanji.
He gets the Jumanji of it all, and then like when it takes forever for them to suck it all back into the game. I thought Van Pelt's done. I'm like, oh, Van Pelt's wave's been sucked back into this Jumanji, and then like his head gets stuck there.
Yeah. The only thing that weirds me out about it is that the gun isn't from Jumanji. He bought that gun in the real world.
Yeah, it sucked up things that it shouldn't have. Right.
Yeah.
But I guess
including the bullets that come out of the gun. I mean, it's a fun, cool shot to see the bullet disintegrate as it's like about to strike him in the face. But the Jumanji, I guess, takes more than it put out. I wonder what else it took. Did it take the rest of the police car? That would be funny.
Well, also like when things are getting sucked back in from the city, it's further destroying the house. Like things are coming in through parts of the building that are even destroyed.
Or maybe it's sucked in the whole timeline. Because we only see when it's the Jumanji ends, we find them back in 1969 again. So
they rewind back to 1969. I forgot about this whole element
This
of
is
it.
the whole thing with like is it Judy and Peter? Is
Yeah.
that the right?
Yeah.
Judy and Peter, that they kind of sacrificed themselves there, right? To, for them to be able to defeat the final thing and to get, the Jumanji and to suck it all back in. So they're kind of dead, but their deaths are undone because of the whole, I guess I don't know, like Back to the Future, I want to say, but maybe there's a different analogy here where, the timeline gets sort of reset.
No, I think that like without it literally being like everything happening in the same timeline, it is like a weird like I like how Steve earlier said that it's like a branching timeline that gets like pruned, if you will. TVA, anybody? It gets like cut off and then it just like loops back onto itself. But the weird thing about it, the thing that I was blown away by is Sarah and Alan just remember everything that happened, but the kids haven't been born yet, Peter and Judy, so they obviously don't. But then they just exist their whole lives with all of the knowledge of, so really they're like mentally at this point in their 70s once they fast forward up to
well, that's the question.
1995.
Because there's that whole part in the in when they get turned back into kids, and she says, "I want to do something before I forget and start being a kid again."
Yes,
or
yeah,
whatever. Yeah. And so she gives them the kiss or whatever. But like, it's, to me, it's almost like this hint, and I never really picked up on it until I watched it last night. Whereas, like, well, maybe they're not going to be able to, like, they'll remember everything, but like maybe she can't remember that, like, certain thing, like more of the world events or certain life experiences she had lived the first time, because that would be kind of weird to know everything that's going to happen for the next 26 years.
But it also seems like she was pretty mentally unstable that whole time, so she probably doesn't have like a ton of associative moments, like her whole life is probably disconnected from her body and mind are kind of like separate when you're under that sort of like level of
you're
mental
an adult.
torture.
You're an adult in a kid's body. So what's Alan like when he gets back to school the next day and he's dealing with the 13 bullies that?
Oh, right.
But this is a version.
But
of
now he has jungle skills.
Yeah, he just
jungle
defeats them
powers.
handily, no problem. Just like takes them out, systematically takes them out from like the shadows.
Yeah,
like snipes them all.
Like
with
it's
a knife.
kind of so like I thought that's even like the more interesting story to me is like, what do you do with these two kids who have all of this 26 years of adult experience now back in the bodies of kids, and in this more in the case of Sarah, like how is she going to live her life this time? How many of her mistakes can she avoid, or like fights with family members, all kinds of things, right? Like that you get to redo. Not just,
or just because she because she's like, I want to remember this kiss before I revert. Do they literally just go back into their kid mind with this fading memory of this thing that happened?
Well, they remember because they
like remember. Yeah, they remember the kids. So like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I think we can excuse it.
They just wanted to have a happy ending for all the characters, I think is the reality of it.
Right.
It's like,
so they're like, well, we're going to defeat it because Judy and Peter are going to sacrifice themselves, but it's not going to matter because we're going to bring them back. So because like
it is kind of weirdly depressing though that like the kids don't know them, but they know the kids, right? Like and the kids are clearly weirded out, being like, "What is with this weird couple?"
I know it's like this weird scene where it's like, okay, my dad's boss and his wife are really weird.
Yeah, and they bought us these really expensive gifts. And they don't even know us.
They're really looking at us like they got monkey boners or something. What's going on?
They all have monkey. Why do they all have monkey boners?
Well, it's the word of the day. But
I was kind of thinking about like if they were to do a direct sequel to this, wouldn't it be interesting if like the sequel is Judy and Peter after the moment where the timeline would have branched in their reality. So when their parents died, but they didn't die, that they would have this like memory recall of everything that occurred after that in the Jumanji verse or whatever.
Yeah, like I think you could have even had it that like that Alan and Sarah, like they lost those memories, but then all four of them get the memories back. Maybe once they catch up to the day that it would have been. I don't know.
That's what I was thinking that too, but I don't know how you do that without it being super duper confusing and hard to like not be convoluted and explain it. But yeah, it would have been nice if they had recognition for one another, but I guess there's like, I don't know, it's fine. It's a happy enough ending, but it is so strange. Like it's not gross or uncomfortable, but it's just weird. Like this is so strange.
Right, but that it's kind of like the at the end of Masters of the Universe, which I love to bring up. When Tom Paris and Courtney Cox they're like, no, don't let your parents go to the car accident or the plane trip, and here it's like, don't go to Canada, it's going to kill you. Like they use kilometers per hour up there, you'll get confused. The end of it.
Well, I was going to ask you, Steve, do you, watching the show, since I had to fill out so much more information, does the show all happen? I obviously you may or may not remember. Does it all
cartoon show?
Yeah, does it happen within the context? Okay. I just tried to look
at the jungle. That's all.
I know. I just tried to look up like the plot, like the synopsis of the show, and it's the same plot as the movie. So I'm wondering, I also read another thing that allegedly it adds more context and lore, but without actually going and watching literally 3 seasons of this show, I'll never know. But like maybe they explain this a little bit more in depth. Who knows? We'll never know.
No one will ever know. The show was deleted from all archives.
Yeah, good luck.
It Jumanji'd itself.
If you're watching this, please find us the television program Jumanji, and we'll do a. No, we won't. Anyway, these kids have all the knowledge of all the time that they lived? Question mark. What are the rules? What are the rules?
Everybody have all the knowledge of all the time they lived. That's just.
I've never been through a time loop though.
That's true. Yeah, we don't know, but it's clear that they don't recognize them, right? It would have been nice if there was if they somehow were able to achieve some sort of look of recognition from the kids to them, but
Ding.
I mean, they're trying to wrap things up. They don't want to complicate shit any further than they need to. So we get a nice moment where everybody sings "Fa la 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 la" or whatever. I can't remember what song it.
It's Christmas. Oh, and now Sarah's pregnant in this timeline. But
yes.
So, but presumably they've been a couple for 26 years at this point.
I guess so.
But they're only like 30, so they're just having a kid.
I guess so. Yeah, but they got some city miles on them. They got some jungle miles on the
jungle miles, Jumanji miles.
They're only in their 30s at this point.
Monkey boner miles.
That's how it goes. Love the jungle.
There was also a sweet moment where we find out that the dad Parrish isn't the dick that we thought he was at the beginning of the movie, where they finally communicate to one another their issues, and the dad's like, look, I was just mad at you because you were being insubordinate. And the kid's like, I went through a Jumanji adventure. And he's like, I don't know what you're saying. But also, you don't have to go to Cliffside boarding school if you don't want to. We could just skip all that.
That was too easy. I didn't like that because, like, this is okay. The Cliffside's the family school that he gives this big speech. I went there. Your grandfather, your uncles, all your family members. The hall is named after us. And like basically, he's like, you're going to Cliffside no matter what. And then he walks out. He's like, I forgot my speech. His son gives him a hug, and he's like, you know what? Never mind about that Cliffside thing I was so hot about a second ago. Yeah. Doesn't matter. I've been melted by the power of love and a hug.
I get I mean, I do get the feeling that they probably don't hug very often, right? And this is like a moment where it takes him off guard, and he's like, oh shit, I thought you wanted me dead 5 minutes ago. It's like, no.
Generations of family tradition. Who cares? Like,
but it's the power of love.
He said that they would talk about it. So he's saying, like, I'm not going to force you to go, but I would like to have a real conversation about it where we're not yelling at each other. So let's talk about it tomorrow, man to man. And he's like, how about father to son? And he's like, spot on. Now I've got to go give a speech or whatever. Goodbye, Alan. So, I mean, and who knows? Maybe he did go. We don't know. They had a conversation the next day. But you're right. That is very easy. There he's like all of a sudden like, no, it's fine. My precious school.
Kid Sarah and Alan also, that's when they tie the rocks to the board game and throw it in the ocean, and it just shows up on a beach, setting up a sequel that effectively never happens.
Yeah, the rocks
because
from France.
The sequels are about like an Atari, right?
Yeah, because they're playing
Pitfall movie? Harry.
where they explain how the board game ended up becoming the video game or something. And
The board game
Oh.
sees that nobody's playing with board games and sees that everybody's playing with video games, so it transforms itself into a video game so that people will be interested in playing it. But the movie is set in modern time, but it transforms itself into like a 90s era, like a game that we would have played when Jumanji the movie came out. You know, like
Right. Okay.
right.
it's
Like
it's
an
weird.
SNES era.
Yeah, it doesn't turn itself into like an Xbox or PlayStation game or something, or like a sweet gaming PC. It's like, no, it's turned into a cartridge-based video game
We're
system.
sticking with the retro thing. We like the
Yeah.
retro vibe here.
Exactly.
I mean, like if you look at the amount of years between 1969 and 1995 and 1995 and 2018 or whatever, it's similar. Like that, the retro cartridge-based game would be the the equivalent. So it does make sense.
The equivalent of what?
like
Because-
the game equivalent.
We
Like,
established
there
that the board game had been around since 4200 BC, though.
Yeah.
Like, so
Oh, okay.
it had been a board game for a while, and then it's like, I guess I'm gonna be a video game now. I guess, but I want to start off with like an Atari.
We'll do a
era.
follow up to this episode in the year 2400, and we'll find out, you know, just how different things are.
It's like, I'm ready for Xbox. I'm going up to Xbox now.
That's when it turns
Also-
into an Xbox.
But the parents being warned about their untimely demise, does that force them into a
That's how Final Destination happens.
yeah? Isn't that a Final Destination situation?
It is.
Could be, yeah. We don't really get the answer to that question. I guess we'll have to find out after Christmas. Yeah, it might be sad.
And a happy new year.
When
But I
cars
guess they
just
have like
keep
they'll be
careening
raised
into
by
their car.
Robin Williams and Helen Hunt.
He keeps
there or whatever.
denying PTO like constantly. He's scared they're gonna die. He's like, no, you can't go on
No,
vacation.
you can never go to Canada ever.
Yeah.
They try to quit and they he just blackmails them into.
You're not even
staying on
allowed
the
to own a
job.
car. Like
Yeah.
it's over.
Well, I mean, the Parrish family has enough sway in this town that
Because we never actually see like Robin Williams and Bonnie Hunt there actually learn how their parents died. Like there's no conversation in the movie where they get like that information's given to them directly. But they
Right.
seem to know all about it, I guess.
car crash.
Yeah, I think they just say car crash.
Because
Well,
it's all told to that realtor, remember?
Right,
Like,
yeah.
Um,
There's a moment where she tells him about it, but she's about to do her lying thing again, and then Peter like kind of
oh, she does. So there is a moment. You're right.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the aunt is like, actually, they just died in a car crash, and the way that she says it too is really like,
Well, that's a separate
almost
point. This is when
That's the
this is
one
when
with the
she's
realtor
talking.
at the
Yeah,
beginning.
it was when
Oh,
she's
yeah, yeah.
talking to Robin Williams when he's at his dad's grave. She's about to do the lying thing again, and Peter's like, Donna, don't just tell him the truth, please. Like he's literally grieving his parents right now. Don't be a fucking dick. And she's like, okay, true. I can't be a weirdo all the time.
can't rain all the time.
But that's the end of the movie. We made it.
It's true. Final
Oh my
thoughts,
God,
anybody?
don't do that on the podcast. I don't like it. I don't like it. Let's do our Home Alones.
If you had to pick one,
Well, what do you think
moment,
the Home
when
Alone of it
is
all?
the Home Alone of it all?
Can someone please tell me when the Home Alone?
I really gotta
When's the
know.
Home Alone of
When
it all?
is the Home Alone of
What
it all?
is
the Home Alone of it all? Now
Damn
that's
it.
the Home Alone of it all.
I love the sound design of this clip. It's great. We're
Well,
going to the animated series. I haven't even watched
Yeah.
Oh no.
I'll
Deep in the
explain-
jungle.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say I'll explain that, but you all looked at it. The idea of the Home Alone of it all is in the movie Home Alone, and many movies after it have that moment of like Kevin McAllister slaps down the blueprint in the movie and sets up the horrible kill box for the nightmare home invaders. Of course, that's the part of the movie we're all there to see. So Steve and I have sort of transition that over to most movies where you can sort of pinpoint that segment in a lot of film. In addition to that, this is of course the Home Alone of it all, the final thought, and the rating. So, Dave, you've been here before, and I think you know it. I think you know all of the parts. So why don't you tell us all about it?
So you want like what was the thing we come into to see here in the movie? What's like the feature of the movie?
Yeah, or like your favorite part of the movie. Sometimes it's literally just the third act. I don't think it's that for this movie, but
My favorite part of the movie, yeah, I guess, is Robert Williams in particular in this movie. Just I guess him being the fish out of water in this story, and and just how great he is as the lead in the film. He just really carries it. So it's. That's for me, he's the draw. Like this is the era where like the movie star really mattered, and he was the movie star of this movie. And it's got a great cast ensemble here, but he really anchors the whole thing.
Definitely.
And then your final thought and your rating.
My final thought. This movie still holds up quite a bit for me. I really enjoyed it. Even the sequels, I love that they still, have the spirit of this a little bit in there. Although I agree with Steven that I wish they hadn't explained a lot of how the magic works and, got into, explain all the lore quite as much as they ended up doing. But, if you can set that aside, I think this, is one of the great, 90s movies. And my rating would be, I give this an 8. This is a strong movie.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Assuming you're on a 10.
Whatever you want, brother. And of course, please come back anytime and bring along the Mary Mater
Marvel Society?
podcast society,
Yes.
which is what that should have been the name of the whole thing, right? The Mary Mater Podcast Society.
Yeah, well,
working title.
Names, it's all kinds of different versions.
I appreciate your time. How about you, Steve?
Well, I think that the obvious answer is the Stampede. That's kind of like the pinnacle moment, the moment that was in the trailer that kind of drew everybody to the movie. It's the thing that people are waiting to see. It's the spectacle that you're expecting. But there's so many other things in this movie that I think also work that you wouldn't have been expecting, or that you didn't really come there for, but ended up loving more than that moment. But I think that would be the Home Alone of it all. There's a literal Home Alone moment in this movie, which is pretty good.
What I was gonna say. Yeah,
stole that away from me, buddy.
And then we, I'll just go with that. But I mean, Van Pelt's entrance is amazing. It's like, and as soon as he comes through the door and starts yelling and shooting at him, it's almost like every time he's not on screen, I'm just waiting for him. I'm like, where's Van Pelt? Show me Van Pelt. He's the best. So I think we might go with that. Van Pelt entering is my Home Alone of it all. And my final thoughts are that this movie is still just as good for me. I'm not going to say this is going to be true for everybody, but every single time I watch it, I get the same feeling, the same vibe, and it doesn't get old. And I there's little moments that you forget about. There's charming and make you chuckle, and it makes you feel good and nostalgic, especially if you're from this time. You can really kind of like mentally put yourself back there.
That's pretty good. I agree.
What? Oh, yeah. It is. It does take. I don't even think it's a full day either. It's still daytime when they Jumanji.
An afternoon.
But I mean, the movie is all clearly shot at like 6 a.m. because they're all if you can see their breath is just like on the air. And then if I had to, my final thoughts are that the movie is amazing, and I recommend it to anybody who has a soft spot for this sort of film, which is, a family-friendly film that kind of is it's a little bit darker, and the themes that it deals with are real, and they're things that most people can connect with, and not just on a surface level. It goes a little bit deeper, and it's a bit darker. Things that movies beyond 1995 really stray away from, especially kids movies. They don't really do it anymore, and when movies try, they end up. I just don't think that they have the formula down like they did in this era, and even the 80s where there was super dark stuff. My final. Sorry, not my final thought. My rating, I'm going to give this movie half your body dangling through the floor while your face is breathing heavily on a spider's face, not successfully getting the spiders to get away from you. But seconds later, the ground cracks open and you're free. And you Jumanji. It's great.
It's a great rating.
Fantastic.
The best rating you can give it, I think.
Well, thank you, Steve. Listen, Jumanji holds up as a timeless classic. I really enjoyed reliving it and seeing all the bits I couldn't remember because that was a huge part of it for me this time around. There are some great practical effects and some CGI that does actually hold up, with a lot of CGI that really those monkeys, man, god damn, why do they have human faces? It's a great story. I liked the little time loop element of it all that really doesn't make a lot of sense, but we did discuss it at length, so hopefully
we didn't figure it out, but
we didn't figure it
Didn't
out, but
crack the
I
time
hope
code.
I hope we got closer to understanding it, at least. I give this movie a 4.5 out of 5. I also give this movie a series of disasters inside a house that has a happy ending for all.
Including the house.
Oh. And I forgot to mention my Home Alone of it all. My Home Alone of it all for this movie was literally what you mentioned, Steve, the setup of the detergent and the blasts from the scuba tank and the pit, and also like the paint falling down in Van Pelt was very Home Alone-y. But I think that the duration of the game, like the board game part, that
I like
was
the phrase Home Alone-y.
it was very Home Alone-y.
Yeah.
It was so Home Alone-y.
But I think just like the board game like sequence, I guess it goes through most of the movie, but when they like reopen it in the 90s and start playing, that's my Home Alone of it all. But we did it. We got through the film in record time, I would say. This is the average length of a podcast at this point. Listen, I would like to ask you guys about your plugs for this week. So if you could tell me all about it, why don't we ask
All right,
Mr.
let me just plug this in right here and.
I gotta get that sound effect for plugs.
Well, he's dead.
I can send
Who's
it
up
to you.
first?
There's so many layers to that sound effect.
It's so good.
Why don't you go first, Dave?
Yeah, Dave, give
Yeah,
us it.
thanks. Well, of course, Live Long and Podcast, our Star Trek channel in the United Federation of Podcasts. All kinds of Star Trek podcasts all the time. So the big regular ones we're doing at the moment are on Monday nights. We have new episodes of. Well, I guess they're not new. They're episodes of For All Mankind, the Apple TV series. So it came out in 2019. So we're almost done season 1 right now, and we're about to move into season 2. I've been doing that one with Heather and with Adam and Jody and them over there, and Kevin. And then Thursday nights tonight, Star Trek: The Next Generation. We've been rewatching those episodes, talking all about them. So tonight they were talking about Up the Long Ladder, the episode where they're like, "We've had a colony of Irish people. They're quite drunk. We don't know what to do with them." And then they find another colony of clones who want to try to steal people's body parts and clone them. And they're like, "Why don't you have sex with the Irish people? It's all better." So that's what was going on Live Long and Podcast tonight. And then we'll be back next week for the next episode over there. Plus, Davin has got his trivias and his Class L probes often on Sundays. You can check that out. I think those are the big ones. Oh, and of course, Super Mater Brothers, which Jason was often frequenting us with, talking about Survivor 48. We just wrapped up a 13-episode season, 13-week season. So thank you. Well, I guess I'm not the one to say thank you.
No, you can say thank you. You're the grandfather of us all.
No, but I'm just taking credit for their concepts. But yeah, it's I'm having a fun time here tonight as well. Super Mater Brothers, check that out. I don't know if we're doing Big Brother this summer. I have to talk to Jamil about it. I'm feeling like no, but I'm feeling like, but we'll be back for Survivor. In any event, because Survivor 50 is coming around the corner, Jason.
Hell yeah, brother.
Cool.
I posted that video for you, and everybody was like, bah, 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 bah.
I know.
You didn't
I
even
know.
respond.
I was excited. And then the other last thing I was just on Trivial Debates on Sunday. I was hosting, and we did a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles theme, and we had a great panel there. We had Justin, we had Sean, and we had Michelle. Michelle is from Cowabunga Corner. She's like the biggest Turtles fan I've ever met in my life.
Did she win?
I
Actually,
can't
maybe.
spoil it.
Yeah, true. Maybe watch the episode.
Yeah, watch the episode. But she was passionate,
Right.
and she's very creative. So it was a very fun episode talking turtles.
Cool.
Excellent. Well, David, I appreciate your time. You're welcome back to the show anytime you'd like to come back. You'll be back for James Bond, I'm sure. Steve, what do you have cooking on the back burner? You got a lot of things, brother.
Yeah. Well, there's the Sonar Network podcast series, comedy podcast series. It's a narrative series. It's called Stanland. The trailer's up now. You can find it at thesonarnetwork.com/Stanland. I am a few voices in that. I play some fantasy creatures, some orcs and elves, and it's fun. And there's some cool, pretty big name celebrities in it. We've got Bobby Monahan, John Waters, John Hamm, Tim Sharp,
wow.
Steve Little, and Rhea Seahorn, and much more. It says here. I guess I'm part of them much more. I'm also not
more.
famous, yeah. But you can also find me on Darth Theorist and the Three-Eyed Theorist, where I am the narrator and I occasionally write and do the editing for music. But I also do all the characters. So if you want to hear me do some fun Star Wars voices and some passable Game of Thrones accents.
Your Game of Thrones ones are my favorite because especially when it's like Ned Stark talking to Littlefinger, which many of these videos are.
Yeah.
So those are my favorite conversations.
Okay.
Always.
Well, I'm glad you like it because I'm sitting there sometimes being like, I'm butchering this accent.
How many British voices are the same voice?
That's the other thing is like the Star Wars ones, I can really get away with it because there's different source material for me to look at. So I can look at, the Clone Wars cartoon show and the movies and like other projects where I can pull from different performances and kind of amalgamate them into my own. Whereas Game of Thrones, there's really only the one thing. So you're either doing a bad impression. Also, there's 1,000 Game of Thrones characters that are not in the shows that are in this podcast series we're doing. So I'm having to make up accents too, which is kind of fun. Anyway, they're fun to do. I think we're about to hit 40,000 on Darth Theorist subscribers. So if you guys can just get it,
Congratulations.
we're almost there. Thanks, man. And Game of Thrones, we're not quite that high up yet, but it's still growing as well. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's fun. So check it out. And that's it.
Hello, my name is Jason R. Phillips, and I am the executive producer of Hey, Did You See This One? I would like to let everybody know that this podcast goes live each and every week right here on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube, and Kick. And, tonight, Instagram's been working. So you can find us on all those platforms live every week. Then here's what's going to happen. After that, I put up the on-demand audio episode and video episode on Sunday morning. That's been the new morning that gets us the most views. So this show is mainly the thing that I want to promote. I would also like to tell everybody that I'm the announcer for the professional wrestling company promotion here in Toronto called Super Kicked Wrestling Rock Show. Tomorrow night, May 30th. I thought it was May 31st, but it's not. May 30th, tomorrow night. We have a great show coming to you at the Great Hall on Queen Street here in Toronto called Key to the City. And it is if you ever watched WWE and seen Money in the Bank, it's a similar thing where 6 men have to climb the ladder, pull the key down, and then they get a world title shot anytime that they want. They just cash in. We also have another match. The main event of that is Jason Hodge versus the champion Jesse V for the Super Kick Championship. And there's so many other cool matches that are happening. There's an Iron Woman match, a 30-minute Iron Woman match, and 2 tag team matches, one for the number 1 contendership and one for the tag team titles known as the Kings of the Six Championships. That is tomorrow night. Tonight, I'm going to tell you about another thing. We have, I don't know if you know this, but we have merchandise that you can get on all of your major merchandise distributors. Red Tube. Nope, that's not it.
Redbubble.
Tees, Redbubble, thank you,
And
and T Public. And you can find such T-shirts as our Grimar Familiar Killers.
I drew that. I drew this too.
Killade. Twinkerbell.
I also.
Do you want a Twinkerbell shirt? I know you do.
I have one. It's fun. I can't
That's
find
great.
it. Though. I don't know where it is.
You can get Zarados on a shirt.
Zardos.
And you can get the Howie Mandel effect on a shirt. What an insane drawing. Also, just to keep up the comedy of it all, Corporal Tunnel Syndrome does exist. I haven't put it up yet. All you have to do to get the Corporal Tunnel t-shirt is buy one Twinkerbell. And we'll get to that point when we do. So that is, of course, the show tonight. I'd like to thank literally all of the people that were in the chat tonight. So fun, so good. I'd like to thank all of the viewers tonight. We had a very high level of viewers. We topped out at about 12 concurrents, which is awesome. It feels good. Here's a picture of Robin Williams. Look at him.
Are those the same banana leaves he wipes his butt with?
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There's no question about it.
Just want to know what's canon here. So,
just before we get out of here, though, I would like Dave. You've been here before, and I think I made you do this the first time you were on. There's one question that needs to be asked each and every week, and I need you to ask that question for us right here, right now.
You got it. Hey, did you see this one?
Do you guys think that, like, if there was a huge time loop and like all of the people like who went through the time loop had to go through it, they would come out on the other side and probably, get the internet? And when they got the internet, do you think they would watch this show?
Jumanji! Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.
I'm the only 60s guy in the world. This is my last video. Tell me boy, na 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 na. Tell me boy, na na. Tell me boy, na na na. Tell me boy, I love you.
Okay.